compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are listed in the annual agenda. Copies are sent to the Record, Suburbanite, Northern Valley Press, and posted on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. The notice of this special budget resolution 24-65 has been sent to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley News. Has been posted on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and Borough website. The first order of business, public comments. A total of 15 minutes has been allocated for this purpose. Citizens are welcome to address the mayor and council on any governmental item of concern to them, whether it or not it is scheduled on the agenda below. Citizens must give their names and addresses when recognized to speak. Large groups are urged to select someone to represent them. The public is advised that these meetings are recorded and are subject to the Open Public Records Act. Okay, Omar, I don't see any members of the public here in the chambers looking like comments. Anyone online who would like to make a public comment? No hands. Okay, there's no public comments to be made. We're going to close public comment and go right to departmental reviews. And we're going to welcome His Honor Benjamin Choi here from the Municipal Court. Thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate your time on a nice Saturday. So what's going on in the court these days?
Yes, good morning. I'm Judge Benjamin Choi, and first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day and evening. The municipal court is operating effectively. We've actually more tickets
Word.
and operational numbers increase. We've had a 8.75% increase. We've got 8% more tickets than we achieved in the first 10 months. Look at the 10 months, first 10 months for every year from 2020 to 2023. Our operational numbers have budgetary increase. Basic salary increases.
Omar, can you please mute the Zoom participants?
Yeah, we have to mute the Zoom. Omar?
Yes.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
And so the budget for 2022, correct that, 2023 was 145,502.77, and we requested this year is 146,593, 146,500.
That's the question. You made reference to what you take in. So basically, what you take in versus what it costs you to execute and operate. That's good. Is that positive or negative?
I'm not sure I understand that much.
There's a revenue and expense. Yeah. This is the expense that you made reference to a revenue component. It's for all intents and purposes revenue that you take in tickets and spending. Is the revenue higher than the expense, or the expense higher than the revenue?
So Susan, what's the?
I was thinking.
That's okay. The councilman's asking, what is the amount of money that the court takes in every year?
It was on your first page. correct?
Sure. Okay. So that's for the first 10 months. If you look at the full annual picture, it'll be about $100,000+.
So on a net basis, it costs about $50,000 a report. Because you guys for a budget of 140-some-odd-thousand, and
Right, the revenue,
$100,000.
then,
So
right.
it's 50,000 a month.
And so these funds that I'm showing you is
Rescue
turnover
is
funds to the
separate. Yeah,
municipalities.
right.
There's a state portion as well too.
So when you collect, when we collect from a speeding ticket,
Right.
a portion goes to the state, a portion goes to the town.
Right.
And
And
you
the
have-
fortunes are statutorily set as well too.
and there are fees associated with the prosecutor.
That would be above that. So
Right.
so the net cost of court operation, including the customers.
Mhm.
The net cost, we're still,
16,000.
trying to get you roughly to $50, right? I mean, you're talking about $50,000 to operate the court on a net basis.
Yeah, it's not even 50, 55.
Any other questions?
More questions?
The conferences that we all requested, I guess, for event number threes. And then, the other three events are all 8 of those conferences necessary for Dawn to attend?
So I believe they are, some are mandatory, I'm not entirely sure, but some are, mandatory conferences for, the administrators to attend. And they are, scheduled events annually, for the administrators. So the answer is I don't know exactly whether they're mandatory, but it is a convention for the administrators.
All right,
You have a vacancy?
Yes, I want to address that as well, too. I apologize.
that has been posted, but I think there may be some issues with the salary.
So that's, so, the vacancy just occurred about a month and a half ago. And we want to have that person in place. And so I guess the listing for the job has been posted. There are times when, like now, when the administrator is out of the office because of medical reasons or otherwise, where we do need someone to man the office.
And that's a part-time position.
Yes.
So, and it's been advertised before. I know we just recently put it on the website and the pages about.
Yes.
Have we received applications?
Right now, that's being monitored at the careers at tenafly.net address. So I'm not.
Has,
sorry.
Your Honor, has the issue been a lack of applicants or applicants that are looking for full-time versus part-time, or that the salary associated is insufficient?
So the salary has been an issue, and I think our prior two clerks have left because of salary. And full-time versus part-time, of course, people are looking for full-time positions.
What is the compensation? Sorry.
What does it mean to?
19 and a
I forget the word you used. You said someone.
What?
ran the-
19 and a half.
What does it mean?
Means there's no physical person sometimes.
What does that person do? I'm just curious, like, if I got a speeding ticket or something like that, I would assume I could resolve everything online.
You can, a lot of them, but some people come in to schedule matters at the window. Some people come in to pay tickets at the window. They have questions that they want addressed at the window or telephonically. And that has to be answered.
So is the person at the window a representative of the court such that they're empowered to answer those questions in an effective manner? Or could that be pushed to be an online thing where it's actually a greater degree of control in terms of what the answers are? But imagine you could create a litigious environment when I answer a question to you at the window. I would go to court and say, well, the person at the window who's your representative will be X. It would seem there's more risk to that than there would be in automated responses online.
I think it's a little bit of both. A lot of the responses can be by email or online. However, there is a personal component as well too. We're here to service the residents of Tenafly and Ford users. And then there is a person-to-person interaction that is of some benefits to that.
If the person has to be trained and who can apply to be this type of anybody with clerical skills or
I think it could be anybody with clerical skills, and there's some on-the-job training and some judiciary training that the person could receive as well.
given that, maybe if we're having trouble filling it with the League of Municipalities posting, perhaps we can post it in other areas that.
It's definitely on our webpage as well, and the mayor has guided people to postings in his Friday mayor's message on
Correct.
two occasions. So we can take a look at that, maybe we can publicize it a little bit more just to see if we can.
Or cast a little wider net, maybe.
Is this a role we can share with another community also?
Well, there's a couple ways you can look at that. There are abilities to do shared services with the courts. Usually a municipality, if they host a shared service, they're better off. I mean, there may be an opportunity to see if a smaller community would be interested in having us become a shared service to them, either one-on-one or some kind of.
And then we have a full-timer with benefits and then we
Yes,
kind of
that would be.
vend out the services to someone else.
So we would have to really cast the net to see if there's a suitor. And then you correct me if I'm wrong, Your Honor, but you can do it as a shared service, a shared court, or it can be done as a joint municipal court. depending on the
I
state.
don't know the exact distinctions. I
Right.
know there's a regionalization concept that is floating around as well too.
Yeah.
Along with shared services agreements between municipalities. Many of them have been unsuccessful because of the home rule, I guess,
Mhm.
concept that we have here.
The,
But nonetheless, that is being explored. In this particular situation for us, we've had the occasion where our administrator was out and we were able to ask for help from our prior employee,
Mhm.
who is now with a different municipality. And she was willing to come over and she was available to come over to provide those services.
Okay, yeah, I know that she helped you out on Monday, right? So we can look at those different avenues that are available and see if there's a suitor that works. To the judge's comment, the state did pilot legislation in 2021 that would essentially allow county governments to create a municipal court on county level. Those counties that have state police jurisdiction, that's all they have, they automatically become part of a county municipal court. And then the rest would determine whether they wanted to join that and then what would be the cost of it in term of a contract. Or to stay standalone or with a joint court. The only county out of 21 that actually sort of went headfirst into doing that was Atlantic County, and it's probably the reaction from the judges that it's had significant mixed reviews.
That's an interesting statement.
Yeah. The joint municipal court scenario has been somewhat of a better model if you have the right partner and suitor and.
Everyone's on the same page.
Yes.
The news next.
No ill bills.
Yeah.
But if we do a joint court, you would need two separate days.
I think that we would have to do some studies to see who the suitor would be and what their level of cases are to see if you would need to add more days, and you would study all that. So I think we're significantly away from saying, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But if the judge is open to that, we can always keep that possibility on our radar, and if circumstances align that someone is looking for someone to host their court, we can look at the particulars and take that into consideration.
Wondering why we're not spending a little more time on John's idea of shifting a little more online if we're missing a part-time person. I mean, I understand that everybody's used to seeing somebody in person, but we're getting more and more used to not seeing somebody, in person, and we're doing it with our taxes, and we're doing it with so many parts of our lives are going online that for at least a part-time position, if someone's not there, then they can be kind of pushed online instead of.
This is our website.
This is the right, this is the website. There is someone there sometimes.
So, because this part-timer, they're fundamentally accepting payments and billing in.
But they're also inputting tickets into the system. They're also receiving payments, and there's a portion of the population that just doesn't have a credit card. They don't have online access. They're gonna pay cash, and we have to do daily reconciliations of the cash intake. Physical person will probably have to.
Is there an online option?
Yeah,
Oh, there is. Okay.
there's an online payment option. There's an online option to review the status of the case. And you could actually appear virtually to resolve the case on many occasions. There's guidelines, there are judiciary guidelines on what matters may be disposed of virtually versus in person. For example, a DWI is a matter of consequences involving fines in excess of $800, period of incarceration or probation would require a person to be here. Because they have rights, they want to be heard in person. Versus something like a parking ticket that could be resolved on.
So this is a rare instance in the budget where you have the opportunity to generate revenue. I hate to ask this question, but they have to. Right? We're talking about $150,000 on an annualized budget rate. It's not a lot. We're talking about 100,000. So if we get to the 50 net, can we close that gap? I mean, I do see the report every day that we pull over 12 people, we issue 6 summonses. Why is it 6 instead of 8 or 9? And what is the summons revenue, and what are the ways, look, there's two things, right? You start to reinforce and enforce some of the rules that we have, and you start to put monetary penalties on those people. Not particularly popular, I understand that, but it's a small gap to close. Are we being too lenient in some ways and not charging and not collecting what we could to close that 50,000?
So the question of enforcement are really need to be directed to the police chief, which are later today, right? The question perhaps is whether the fines we're collecting are consistent with what other communities are doing. So for the same ticket, if the fine in Tenafly is $5 and the fine in Carrasco is $10, well, I'm gonna be better off speeding in Tenafly than in Carrasco, right? So I mean, that's a valid question. How are those sort of fines set? Is that a state? Is that an so we don't have options with that?
So the state fines are set by statutory law.
Right.
There's a portion that goes to states, that portion goes to the municipality. Municipal ordinances are set by you guys.
Right.
There is a maximum and minimum on many of the offenses. There's a payable offense line for parking tickets set by the municipality.
So for the non-parking tickets, if I understand it correctly, the state gives a range for which municipality is allowed to utilize. Is that correct or
I'm
no?
not sure if the state gives that range, but I think the general ordinance for here is you set the governing body sets the maximum and minimums for the ordinance.
So it's, John, so that's like the legislative function, not the judiciary function. So let's look at that. Yeah. Right, David?
Yes.
To see whether we're dealing with 1958 numbers. We could very well be.
Yeah,
Because Dan, do you remember any time in the past 15 years us even looking at that? So
It's 50 grand to close. not
And
It's a good question. Yeah.
Just to be clear on this, there's, you're operating under the rules of the courts. And you can't determine that the defense is going to become municipal fines versus state fines. It's going to be spelled out in the statute, except for those that are in our ordinances. Okay.
and another point of clarity is that the function of the municipal court is not necessarily the budgetary revenue concerns. We can't make decisions based upon that. Our job is to administer justice.
Right.
And so,
We would
with
ask you,
respect.
we would ask you too,
and
that's why I made my comment.
Hey, man, we're giving you $7 here. No, understood.
Maybe these gotta be blind, right?
Who has more questions for Rosanna?
Hi, it's Dawn. Can I interrupt?
Sure, of course. Go ahead,
I
Dawn.
just want to let you know that the judiciary has not sent out any delinquent time payment notices in 4 years.
What
So
does that
there is a
mean?
back,
Can you explain what that means to the council, a delinquent notice?
most of these people, once they come into court, since they're not here in person nowadays, are put on a time payment plan. And a lot of those people have not made their payments as they were ordered to. And the judiciary has not allowed us since the beginning of COVID to send out any delinquent notices. They're just starting. I got a report 2 weeks ago that they sent out one delinquent notice for the borough of Tenafly on a case from 1998. They're going to start sending out more delinquent notices, which will hopefully bring in the money that's been sitting there uncollected. And hopefully the revenue will increase.
You've raised an interesting point. So, Dawn, and thank you. So when we look at the earlier, Councilman had a question about how much the borough collects in fines and things of that nature. Does the money that are reflected in the budget, is that reflected what we've collected? Or
That's what we've collected.
That's what we've collected. So there's I understand. Okay.
Going back a couple of years, I used to collect over $300,000 a year and turn it over to the town. We have not had that in quite a while, but so now we're on I'd say about 160, 180,000 a year.
So is there a balance sheet somewhere that shows how much the borough is owed from uncollected fines?
I can run a report on that when I get back.
And what do you think the magnitude of that number is? Just roughly.
I haven't the slightest idea. I haven't looked at it.
That,
We're not sending out anything.
right.
And when you say judiciary, us, is it
No,
the
the
state
state of
saying
New Jersey, the AOC, the judiciary, them.
won't allow us to send out the notes?
We can't
Now-
send out delinquent. I did for a while there send out some time payment notices stamped past due. And I did get a few of those people paying, but we can't send out the regular judiciary notices that we send.
Can we do what you just said, which is your own?
This, it's actually,
I don't know.
worse. In the past, prior to COVID, the policy or the allowance was that I could issue bench warrants for failure to pay, for failure to appear. So that there would be a bench warrant issued if the person who interacts with law enforcement be arrested. And there would be an incentive to pay or get on a new time frame. That incentive's gone. There is no means of enforcing the time payment orders that we send out because of judiciary's policy,
You can't issue a bench warrant.
not on monetary issues.
Is there something that restricts, and so what I'm hearing is we haven't sent this out since COVID. COVID's over, all right? So is there something that's currently restricting us on a regulatory legislative basis? It says we're not
Yes.
going to enforce collections of people that have been convicted and owe the borough money?
Yeah, the state judiciary is saying it.
Well, I'm sorry, the legislature also changed the rules so that if someone doesn't pay a ticket, nothing happens to them.
And is that bail reform? Is that
It's
bail reform?
part of, I'm not sure if it's bail reform exactly, but it's part of the policy that was instituted around COVID time or right around that time.
So,
Where not only for bench warrants, but in the past, you were able to suspend a license. And there would be an incentive, of course, to-
right,
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. You can't suspend a license.
but is that
monetary
like,
issues.
I guess what I'm trying to get is that like a permanent rule or issue from the court, or is it tied to the governor's emergency orders for COVID?
It's the legislature who passed that.
Okay,
The-
so like they did
It's
with.
not the court. The legislature seems to be restricting the court on a lot of things lately.
It's the general acceptance of lawlessness that we're dealing with.
Yeah. it goes to the
Yeah,
cash.
one just got sent out, so is that one ticket just, right?
Yes, one did.
So why, so.
I don't know. That's the
So
question.
there's
for
two
Dawn.
issues
Yeah, no.
there.
Oh, one at a time, yeah.
There's two issues, the license and bench warrant licenses, being suspended was a legislative issue. The bench warrant being issued because of lack of payment was a judiciary finding. And also now the notices, the failure to appear notices is a judiciary policy. So that's being changed right now. Hopefully it's being
So there's
changed.
nothing that prevents your revenue to going to zero? Because I can just walk out of court and be like, yeah, cool, thanks, appreciate it. You're never gonna pay it. And you gotta come after me. There's no consequence. Why would I have to pay?
If you fail to appear, excuse me, so if there's an order for you to pay and you fail to pay, then there's no consequence.
Great.
No, then.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. So Dawn, that was extremely helpful. Okay, that was extremely helpful, Dawn, for the council to understand. If you could follow up with the borough administrator in terms of what that outstanding number is sometime this coming week, that'd be helpful to.
Sure, I'll run a delinquent time payment report. I think the last time I glanced at it, it was like a 60-page report.
I have one more question. I'm
Of
sorry.
course you can. All right, one at a time. John has the floor.
Okay, so there's a question for you too. Can I attach this to your tax bill? Okay, is there something that, yes, I can't enforce payment, but can I create a lien? on-
No.
Can I create a lien?
No, you can't.
So
No.
I'll speed for the next 10 years, sell my house
I'm
and have no
saying-
encumbrance on my
Straight
house.
out of the way of his car.
I'm seriously, we can't, you have a borough obligation mandated by a judge. And you can leave this town, sell your home, and we can't encumber any sort of lien on your house. Can't assign a lien?
I think the municipalities have to talk to the
Yeah, this is a
legislature
conversation with our
about
state
what's
legislators.
going
we're
on.
learning here.
and pull
Yeah.
together and
Right.
say, this is hurting the
Right.
municipalities. You're
I
putting
mentioned this last year
Out there.
before I got cut off.
Not, redo our revenue.
Yeah, this is one of those topics where it's kind of under the table. No one's really appreciating.
I want a part of it.
None of us did, right?
Nobody appreciates the court.
Well, you guys understand, yeah, but right, it's the rest of us, but
And I'm surprised this hasn't been a bigger issue for the municipalities, less illegal, legal municipalities, especially in Bergen County with the smaller municipalities.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
very much.
Dawn, this is David. I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I am. Hopefully I'll be there this week.
All right, we look forward to seeing you.
Okay.
any other questions for His Honor?
Appreciate the education.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right.
It was nice seeing you.
Thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Don.
Bye.
Dawn,
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
It's no relation. It's one.
Turn it on.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
take care. Have a good day.
Bail reforms.
Thank you again.
Oh, I saw it. I know.
Basically, they're taking away.
JP, come on in.
Got it.
Where's JP?
Oh,
Hey, you want to eat breakfast? There's breakfast inside.
Oh, good.
Bagels and.
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
Welcome, new council members, new borough administrator.
Morning, JP.
What's going on? Tell us your story.
Got a lot going on.
What do you want?
We're busy, but busy is good, right?
Well, not for your customers.
Well, so when we talk about busy, right, like we are talking about, like, we're not just, I mean, one of the biggest things that I've done with this department is not just made it the emergency services, right? We're also doing standby events, we're hosting blood drives, we're really outreaching to the community. So when I say busy is good, I don't always mean like call out. Yes, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff. No, it doesn't. So if you wanna move over or
Oh,
anything.
sure,
or,
you know,
If it's not bothering you. I can see that.
Yeah.
I'll pick up any thought. Oh, you lost your, lost the name. So Adam called.
Oh, yeah, you don't know.
Okay.
And, okay, I think we're back.
What's up, JP?
How's it going?
Living the dream.
Is it Adam?
This is the
And
last
you
day,
guys
though, right?
matched today.
First day of what?
Well,
Budget?
No, we're gonna do one, two more.
Yeah.
One.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so, Susan and I work to come down the budget as much as possible.
Great,
we can-
great.
That's-
We're-
Well, that's really, I mean, our department works very, very closely with finance. Mary, Tino helps us with all of our resolutions and things like that. You know, I go with Susan with what we absolutely need and, you know, we try not to go much beyond. One of the main things is we tried asking for this year, we have been in the past asking for a new first responder vehicle just because our vehicles are getting older. We cut that from the capital budget this year because we realized that were up to needs and priority. So we did increase the maintenance line for that just because we have been finding that.
It's the one that died on the.
So the one that died on Dean is being replaced from last year's money, but it's not being replaced until the fall, so we still, yeah, so we still, like, just because it takes time to be able to involve that,
What
but.
kind of vehicles are they?
That's the ambulance, yeah. Yes,
Yeah, that's
multiple
fine.
times, yeah, multiple times in the middle of responding to it.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's not good. So that was something that we,
Is that the one that went to the county to fix or that?
yeah, so that one I was gonna say too, so it was such a problem that the company, International, couldn't even fix it. We had to send it to the county DPW to figure out the problem. Yeah, it's just those dance connections were able to get us them. But the amount of money spent trying to figure that out is just. So yeah, so update up that line, just in case for a little buffer room, we do work very closely with DPW, so if they do have much in-house fixing as possible, oil changes, quick fixes, headlight goes out, that kind of stuff. And that really saves money on our repair costs, but just anticipating how old these vehicles are, they're over 10 years, most of them, so they're there to do, so just increasing that. One of the other big ones that we increased was the educational and training. You know, in order to keep up our certifications, we have to recertify our certificates, and it's every 3 years that happens. With that process, we have to do 48 continuing education units. So that obviously costs money to all of our members have to approve. We recently did a refresher course that does 24 of the 48. It's a core class. And we've already spent 6,000 on that because it was like all of our members went through with it. So just updating that to make sure that we also have money left over to our annual blood war and sexual harassment. Of course, as well. The other last big update, I would say, just walking us through this is the professional dues. So a couple years back, the state mandated that we started doing electronic charting. We went with EMS charts because that was like the most well-known one at the time. Since it's caused a lot of problems, they've been upping the cost without really communicating that to us. And we found a different PCR system that does a lot of the other functions that our other apps and things do. So in setting it up is going to cost money up front, but in the long run, it will decrease costs. We'll be able to track our inventory, be able to schedule people through the system, and just be more efficient overall.
So GPCR.
Yes, electronic patient care reporting.
Yeah,
And then, sorry.
okay, sorry, the increase, to the 8,000 is, just to get it first and then we'll come back down.
Yeah, so there's an initial like installation fee, so that will be that initial like setting it up on all the systems, getting that set up. If they cost like they pay for training, it's all included for our members. And
is there, right, now for this year, I think when we worked on this, I just want to recall, there's the setup fee, and then you still have to pay for the one that you're using.
yes,
And then you'll have the maintenance fee from the other one, so will some of the other maintenance fee drop off?
yes.
Yeah, I think I
So
recall that.
for like, I think it's like 3-month period, we'll have to pay for both.
Right.
But there's no lapse in.
So that number will go down
Yep.
next year.
This new program. You're not the only one on it, it's fairly used.
No, yeah, other departments in the area use it as well.
It's established.
Yeah, and I think what happened was when we first went on electronic charting, there was such a time constraint, so people just were like, let's go with what people had known. So we actually went out and looked at all the different options currently and based on which one was best and have most features and most important.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Why can't we start billing for our services?
Why can't we start billing for our services?
Yeah, collecting only what gets paid by insurance.
I mean, we can.
Is there anything administratively or from licensing or volunteerism that prevents that from happening?
Not that I.
The one caveat in there is in communities that do that so-called soft billing, it takes them out of the hemisphere of being 100% volunteer.
Yes.
So the state fund that pays for EMT training would not be accessible in that.
How much money is that?
It's like $2,000 a year, a person for. EMT
How many people you have?
Like, how many do we send a year? Probably like 15.
15, so we're talking about, we would lose $30,000.
$30,000.
So we have 800 calls a year. So if we were to bill $100 a call, is that $80,000 minus 30, we'd be 50 ahead of the game that we could use towards this department.
Yeah, and what I'm referring to as soft billing is, I think where you were coming from, we would bill at the insurance company, you didn't pay when they go after you.
Correct, 100%.
Yeah, that's.
But we do that for police, don't we? Like for the alarm, like if your alarm goes off, isn't there a borough charge for the cops to go?
I'm sorry, go ahead. That's a fine. That's different. That's a fine.
That's an ordinance violation.
Different. That's a whole different thing.
Just one thing with your idea, Mr. Mayor, is if that was gonna be the direction, it would probably require then hiring a medical billing. So that's gonna be part of your calculation.
Right.
We just do the math then.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked a number of $100. You can't get an aspirin for $100 in a hospital. I mean, the average ambulance bill is like correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200.
So the only reason I was saying that is because like, you know, how like you start bumping into more doctors who say, I'm like eschewing the entire insurance and I'm just taking people's payments, you know, because I don't want to get involved with the whole and, you know, sending multiple bills to an insurance company. So it's just part of your calculation.
Yeah, and if I mean, you can't have an ambulance dying in the middle of Norman Place. It's right. So if we have a potential revenue source where that revenue only goes 100, every penny of it would have to go to benefit TVAC. Whether it's LoSAP or whether it's machines, whatever it might be. I mean, I think we need to look at that. Why do we need to self-fund this fabulous organization when
How are
we
you
can collect
managing your
revenue?
records right now, JP? Are you doing like, if you go on a call, are you creating an electronic record or are you doing paper records?
It's all electronic. Yeah,
All
that was a
electronic.
goal years
All right,
ago.
so there's a database. I'm just trying to see what
Yeah,
the
so-
upload.
But how do you feel about this concept?
I'm mixed about it. So I've worked on departments before, where they have soft build. So if that's something that you're interested in, I can definitely reach out to those contacts and see like what that process looks like and how we could bring it to Tenafly. One of our selling features is like all of our services are 100% free. So that kind of like gets out of there. But I mean, if they're just soft billing insurance, then it's not, no money's coming out of your pocket. You know
Look,
what I mean?
if I fall down the steps at home,
Right.
my wife's not gonna, well, assuming she calls 911. Let's assume she calls 911. She's not gonna ask you, how much is this gonna cost? Or
Right.
whether you're free or not free. She just knows.
The number of people, like, that's a very small percentage of people that worry about that. Like,
Right.
there are some people, like, people to motor vehicle accidents, they're like, I don't wanna go because I don't wanna pay anything. But that's a small percentage. of the people
Right,
that we-
right. Well, there's the soft billing though, right?
Yeah.
You put the
soft
bill in the
billing is
garbage
like-
if they can't afford to pay for it.
Exactly.
Are you collecting their insurance information when you take them?
No.
So that would be the added function.
That would be
you
the
get.
add, but that's simple, right? We ask for their driver's license, we get
Yeah.
their insurance for their insurance.
And consistent with what we're talking about with burglar alarms, how many calls do you go on that are not rising to the level of emergency?
A lot.
A lot.
And I think
That's.
I
Well,
think that's something
it's
that
a
we were
lot.
talking about with police as well, is like the abuse of the 911 system from like County Manor and Brightview. Like, that's our nursing homes and our just living in Tenafly, like, they call for like abnormal labs at 3 in the morning. Like, that's a trend.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I think
Well, they don't know.
I think the way, JP, you might want to consider looking at this. If you need a new ambulance or if you need the bathrooms renovated and you could self-fund, the
Right,
conversation is gonna be, well, what color ambulance are you getting?
right.
Because if 100, if we commit to 100% of whatever revenue you bring in from fees goes towards TVAC, then it's about using the money intelligently to benefit the public, right?
1,000%, and I think most of our call volume is those people who are on Medicaid, Medicare, right, and they'll pay the bill.
And Medicaid's gonna write the check,
Exactly.
and
So it's like, why not?
I think we really need to look at this.
I have a question.
Yes,
Like in Montvale, Woodcliff Lake and Parkridge, they have a tri-barrel ambulance.
Right,
So how does that work? I don't know. That
It's just,
is there a main ambulance?
so it's like if we, since we're bigger than Presco, it's like Presco, we cover their lot or.
yeah, Northern Valley also does something similar, right, like Demarest, Harrington Park, Worcester, and Howard, they do like it's like a mutual aid agreement, so like, it's like, if, let's say on Tuesdays, we knew we had like people down the building, we could say to Presco and Bergenfield, hey, we got all 3 towns. With that though, is if you're out in Bergenfield and then another call comes out in Tenafly,
For dispatch.
Do you guys ever collect revenue to do that type of thing? From
um,
another,
so we get called for mutual aid to different towns, but we,
You're not gonna charge you.
No, you don't.
no, I mean, you're talking about
If it's official,
calls, maybe for, do something
if
where you
it's
can,
like Triborough,
get
it's
some-
officially been created as a shared service, they probably pitch in whatever they pitch in each town.
right,
But for mutual aid, it's just like cover twos, like
mutual aid is different, yeah.
very different. It's just, we need backup.
We're going to help 911 responders.
Other departments.
Right.
oh, yeah, it's,
How much,
It's a
how much
different-
of your volunteer time is spent on fundraising and how successful is your fund?
honestly, I just one question, I just wanted to finish answering that too as well, is, the other problem with that is surrounding us are all paid departments. So we have Englewood, which is covered by Englewood Health, Prescott is a paid service, Bergenfield.
Full pay?
Yeah,
Prescott.
Prescott is fully paid, fire and.
Because they're charging, they're
what
charging,
I'm saying
They would
is,
have.
well, that's pretty straightforward, yeah.
And when they cover Tenafly for mutual aid, how do they handle, if they're fully paid, how are they handling the billing of a case that they picked up in Tenafly?
The same protocol for what would be in Prescott, so their service wherever it goes.
So that service is billing.
Yeah.
So they're used to getting a bill.
You get what you pay for. If you're not collecting on these and you got that ambulance,
This is our second budget conversation this morning, and we've uncovered missing revenue in both of them so far, right? I don't know how we don't do, I mean, right, we want to support the department,
You want to do a world-class ambulance.
right, of course.
And you should have a world-class ambulance.
Right.
And if other towns, and there's precedent for doing it that way, and Medicare is gonna pay for half of the calls that you take at 3 in the morning, that's that's ridiculous.
Correct, correct.
So,
So yeah, going back to your question about fundraising, similar to the fire department, we send out like an annual like appeal where it's just mailer. And that's kind of what we do for our.
and what has been your success dollar value wise?
It's depends on the year, but around like 30,000.
So in other words, if you were to go to soft billing, there's a good chance that that could reduce the amount of volunteer hours that you spend on fundraising. Right? You're doing 30,000 there and you can bring in 80,000.
I'm on, so they're volunteer.
Right.
It's a different vibe, I would say, like a feel.
Mhm.
We have volunteer, they're much younger. You just feel the need to donate rather than it was a
Or even
you don't feel that
You
need to,
Tax augmentation.
yeah, you don't need that, you don't have that good feeling.
Right.
It's a different feeling. That's
So-
why I like volunteer better.
So I can tell you from another town that I had experienced and they did soft bill. And that was about, and the same kind of numbers in population, but it was an elderly population, 15,000 residents. They were getting about $80,000 a year in soft bill.
I was like an ambulance to me.
That's that's two ambulances a year if you're capitalizing, right?
So what? So I got 3 years to pay off. You do it.
Right,
Right.
ambulance is $250,000. I mean, I think the commitment would have to be 100% of whatever the building number is goes to T-value.
For sure. Makes it close.
Correct.
By the way, you guys do, Rich.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's 1,000%.
So what do we need to do so David, Susan, JP, what do we need to do to get this thing?
We can take a look at a couple of models and
Okay.
see how they're creating established. I assume you're right now a 501c3.
Yes.
So we take a look at that. We'll get Wendy involved a little bit to see if these self-billing scenarios would affect that designation or if it's another.
Yeah, so-
election.
The council members good with this concept? Everybody's good with it?
Yeah,
Well, just to explore it.
To explore it, right? Yeah. That's what I'm asking. You go with
Yeah.
exploring it, yeah.
Could we, just talk about the incentive program, which is the next?
Any
piece?
questions you want, of course.
All right, because there was an increase in that, I was hoping you could tell us about.
Yeah, so the incentive program, as you guys know, I'm just gonna explain you guys in, this has been like a journey to try to update that system, right? And we did with the new ordinance. So this is worst case scenario, assuming that all of my members that are eligible for stipend get stipend. With that being said, with the new ordinance system, it better reflects the work we do, whereas in the past, people were showing up to our monthly meetings and maybe taking 3 ambulance calls and they were getting full stipend because the system was so outdated. This now requires you to actively be doing the minimum requirements for membership and then some, and then you get stipend. So this increase, like it's there in case all of the members make it. I don't foresee that. When we did the new ordinance, we put in calculations to see like benchmark, like okay, that college kid that comes back like every couple of months, they might get half stipend. They're not gonna get full stipend if they would have passed. Because they're doing half the work of a.
Well, then it sounds actually more efficient. This might show you.
Yes, you'll see with this stipend that it's, we're not going, we were losing thousands of dollars every year. Yeah, it's volunteer, but also with that, it's volunteer, right? Like when I joined at 16 years old, I wasn't expecting to get cut a check, right? So like, I did it to do volunteer. It's nice, but I wasn't expecting. So,
Thanks, it's a small thing.
But if you're committed, you're committed.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, one at a time. Banu has the floor.
So, the uniform, so it went to 0 last year, plus this year. What happened?
So with the uniform.
Not that I'm asking you. but-
Yeah. No. So what we did is we just combined it, right? So in the past, it was 2 separate things, but it was both an incentive. One was just money and the uniform was like to replace any clothing like damaged on calls. Now, instead of having 2 lines, we just combined it.
Which 2 lines were,
What was that?
which 2 lines were
It was,
Clothing and uniform?
it was a clothing stipend, then now there's a clothing and uniform not specifically for like the clothing
Right.
that we wear.
Right, but sorry, it's 15, but that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed, yeah, so
Right.
it was
So one of them was 37, right, the uniform allowance.
we always got
Seven.
tripped up on this.
Yeah, I know.
Which
I
makes
think
it-
everyone-
It was the uniform allowance,
Right.
which went to zero. So in the past, what was, we would get two checks. We would get one for the uniform allowance and one for the incentive, but we just
Oh,
combined it.
got
So
it,
that way
okay,
it's,
the
yeah,
incentive, not the.
it's all done.
So I have a thought on page 5 of this, and bear with me for a second, because it's gonna be more of an idea for David, but
Okay, sure.
I noticed you have a vacancy for clerical assistant for 20 hours a week at $12,000. Just a thought on that, David or Susan, perhaps we can combine our part-time needs over with the court and these part-time needs, and at least give people more. It doesn't have to be a full-time position, but it seems like we need clerical part-timers in different departments.
So.
Talking about in the ambulance,
In the court and,
but Mary took over the responsibilities of that.
Yeah,
Mary,
that's not funded in 23.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
So-
not funded.
the person, right now in finance,
So it's
we
a
have a
vacancy.
dedicated individual.
Last it was funded was 22.
Yeah,
So it's, okay, so we don't even, we
We're
shouldn't
not
even say
replacing it.
Yeah, it's
vacancy.
listed on here because 2022 is one of the historical years.
Yeah.
Okay.
so I want one off.
Yeah, we have these people.
Yeah, you try to.
Yeah.
talk about it, yeah, for sure. Talking about though, like, I guess. Salaries and wages, so we do have that new medical director,
Oh, yes.
that has been started, Dr. Churchoff. The one thing that's stopping us from getting him fully, like, on board, yeah, stocking the ambulances is, insurance liability. So there, I just got a quote from him that it's, $4,140 for him to be covered by the.
And you're working with Iford French, you guys are all connected together, right?
Yes.
When we connected a month or so ago?
Yes, that you
Okay.
connected to it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's all
what
on the-
this is- That's what this is from.
So you've added that to this
Back
year's
to the
budget, the
budget?
4,000.
So no, so this was they just gave us the quote, so that's.
We need to add that.
So is
You
this,
got a copy of it?
Yes,
is this a rider to our existing policy?
yes, that was all worked out.
Oh, yes.
So Susan, we're gonna need to add that. That's so the medical director can do his job.
That's what he can put EpiPens on our ambulances, medication on our ambulance.
Which is it?
We quite, then you.
4,100.
You have a line for drugs and medicine.
Yeah.
Requested 5K.
Yeah.
Recommended for 2.5.
So this is something that is above and beyond what JIF would provide. So that's why you have to take this rider.
Right, so yeah, we looked into our current insurances and it wouldn't cover what his scope, what would need to be covered, so that's why that would be that supplemental insurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this, you need me to make a copy and give this to you, or is this ours?
No, that's yours.
Okay.
What is this? And what it is?
41.
Page.
So would that come under professional duty?
Jay,
AJ, put it under drug and medicine.
what is it on?
That was professional duties, maybe?
Okay, 7,
That's why I could find out more.
They do.
Something else in the budget.
Yeah, it would be under insurance. We can add it there.
All right,
I would add it there.
Yeah, so we need- Okay. Before JP is done, you know that the council had previously approved, a bond ordinance for the purchase of a new ambulance. The price,
okay.
the price of the new order, of the new ambulance is about $50,000 more than what was anticipated in that bond ordinance, so we'll be presenting to the council a supplemental bond ordinance in order to, effectuate that purchase. We're right now going through the notice period through, we're gonna be using one of two, national cooperatives, either the Houston Galveston Area Council or Sourcewell. Once that is complete, that notice period, there'll probably be a resolution on your agenda on April 9th. to award that under the national cooperative. And then we can send a letter of intent to the ambulance broker that JP has been working with so that the unit can be reserved that they're expecting in November.
No, they were saying now any delays August and September.
Oh, okay, so that's great. So you get in August or September.
Yeah.
That was a 2023 budgeted
Yeah.
expense?
300,000.
You know, you would budget 300,000, but the price now is, I think, 345 or 350.
So
Yeah.
this is a good conversation for the issue of,
So,
as soon as we say, as soon as the council decides to buy something, that afternoon, we should be buying it.
Mhm.
Every day we wait, the only thing that
Yeah,
happens is
that's
the price
true.
goes up
That is
So my
true.
question on that.
every day.
Did we explore, I mean, we just had a conversation about joint services. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that somewhere in the country, someone's made joint services and is divesting themselves of an ambulance that is in excellent working order. Have we looked at that as an alternative?
Typically for the needs of an active, very active, ambulance squad, the used ambulances would not carry it. In a lot of ways, you're taking things in a very populated area and you're able to offload them and sell them to a very rural area.
No, sure.
Um,
You consider us to be a very popular and active area.
I think we're active. I think our ambulance squad is a lot more active than, let's say in county in Tennessee or in Arizona. And the reason I use that as a reference point, we have a police mobile command vehicle that's going to be hearing from the chief that we want to auction off. There's a sheriff's office in Tennessee that will pay us $50,000. So, we could do a further search, but I think with the ambulances, if we decide to buy one secondhand, you're gonna get the headaches of that secondhand.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
average life.
And that's what happened with the one that died. That
What's
was
the average life of an engine?
I was
10
used
years.
to-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it?
We replaced Mary.
Wow. Okay.
And that used ambulance, how long did that last? us?
That one lasted 8
Oh,
before
well.
it started dying. Whenever I drove it.
And did you have a lot of maintenance costs with the use?
Yes. We couldn't, it was out of service for, I want to say.
But to your
Where did
point,
you get it?
to your point, Councilman, I think that, we do those exhaustive searches just to see if there are feasible alternatives.
We do sell them and then there are places that, so you will get some of that
Yeah.
money, but of course it's not gonna
No one's buying this
completely
one.
offset it, yeah. The other thing, and I think we actually talked about this in celebrity vehicles when we were running, yes, but like, I wanna look into electric vehicles as well, especially for our first responders, especially while they're still offering grants and things like that. You guys
How
know
about,
that.
help me with this problem, because this is the second time it's come up. The first time it came up was for snow removal. You can't have an electric snow removal because you can't explain to people, hey, man, sorry, we're out of gas,
Sure,
right? How do you feel about that on the ambulance side? Like, the worst thing that happens is, and I own it, right?
right, yeah.
I don't wanna have, like, you get a call and you get another call and the thing's running somewhere and you're running out of juice, how do you address that? Like,
Right, so I mean, there are departments that are currently, Patterson actually has 2 electric ambulances. When I'm talking about electric, at least to start us, is like those first responders, those are like getting us like 2 calls or from home to the building, right? So it's like just like your
Vehicle,
EV.
it's not-
We're
Yeah.
shooting from here at home.
Yes,
So
exactly, it's
Your
not,
range is limited to the book, so if somebody's plugged in here, it's a 0 that you're.
So JP, you're talking about like a command vehicle?
right, exactly, the command vehicle being,
But how about if the power goes out? How about Sandy gets in here? We got a multi-day power out. Right? Now you're in trouble.
no, of course, yeah.
Do you have a generator at the station?
We do have a generator, yes, yeah,
So it's really, if we went down that road to make sure we have the power
just in case.
supply ready to be tied into that.
Our building does have a generator, so if like we were to connect like the EV charger to the jet, like it would be
Yeah.
back on, we'd be able to do that as well. But yeah, definitely thought of before we.
Yeah, look.
Yeah,
Taking the incentives when they're offered, I think to the mayor's point about buying things when we decide to buy them. If we've got incentives now, then this is the time to strike.
Right.
That's the
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
and
you said it was Patterson, was yours?
Patterson, yes.
Patterson down, do you know what
We got
they,
completely free,
Great.
yeah,
they got the ambulance for free?
yeah.
From,
Sure,
from,
like that.
wait a minute, what funding?
It was state and federal funding.
And is that still?
I looked into it and it was, yeah.
Seriously?
Patterson versus Tenafly.
Understood.
Well, yeah, there are, community block rents we're not eligible for, that they are.
If it
That's what-
wasn't for free, do you know,
Right.
ballpark what the cost of an electric ambulance is compared to what you've spec'd out for this 350?
Honestly, we tried reaching out to the company and we didn't really get great response back. So we
We
didn't
can
get.
do some research.
Yeah.
Find out.
Perhaps you could use this because we have a little bit more of a imperative to not information.
Yeah.
Do you have a brand of the?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I have it written down somewhere, but yeah.
Or, 350, 450, what I mean?
Yeah.
Jackson,
For the one that we're currently buying?
no, the electrical.
No, the last one I don't. It's not Ford though, it's like a completely like,
Brand new brand.
yeah, brand new brand, so.
So circle back to David,
What was your question? What- You just asked Julie?
No, I just said circle back to David. David,
Oh,
I wanted him to explore it like more
Yeah, of course.
front burner than.
Yeah. So I have a question about the incentive program.
Yep.
It just, on page 8, it just seemed, so what are we doing in terms of, every year it goes up a little bit more, that sort of thing?
So it's because our membership increases.
Because of why?
The membership.
Membership increases.
We talked
Membership
about this a
increase,
little
yeah.
bit
So-
before.
Yeah, so yeah,
He doesn't expect it's gonna be that amount. He's just covered in case everyone meets it.
So on that page, 98,019, little increase in 2020 for memberships and no increase there. 2021, a little increase for membership. And then on 23 is when we rolled in uniform stipend.
Right.
So, JP, how many people got the stipend this year?
what's like in last year, I believe.
20
it was
something.
22.
This
The
table
uniform
size.
stipend or the incentive?
They're the
The
same.
incentive
Yeah, they're the same.
So Tony, do you anticipate that more than 22 will get it this year?
You don't think everyone will get it?
So the one that's the tricky thing about this is that there will be more members eligible. But with the new system, it's going to be, our new
Partial.
ordinance, it's hard to, it'll be partial.
Partial, I mean,
22 was full on,
Yeah, 22.
22 fulls and then a lot of partials.
Okay,
Like kids that come back from the summer will
Yeah,
qualify for that.
they won't need full. So
okay.
we won't be able to pay out as much.
So 2024 will be the second full year where the uniform incentive is rolled in. Right, so this would be a good barometer to see if the 150 is something consistent. going
he knows
forward.
it'll cover everyone, but he doesn't expect. that it's gonna-
Right.
So,
I think to your point, right, with the new system and everything like that, we'll see how this goes in terms of the future years. Were there any questions about capital? I know we didn't get to it.
That's no.
I have none.
No, it's fine.
Council members, any more questions? Any more questions for us, JP?
No, I think we'll just circle back about the billing and the electric vehicle.
That's a big one. We get that underway. This conversation is a lot
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
easier this year.
what town was when you were like that?
we have, we have Ken's on.
Ken's on Zoom? Okay.
Yeah, we're not.
Great. Great.
Soft billing full volunteer.
No, Edgewater is paid half off here, so they saw. Yeah, I'll look into that with other departments and see.
As long as it's volunteer.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing too. And I'll see if there's any like requirements that we need to make that happen. All right, thank you. everyone.
Thank you very much, JP.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, JP.
Fire prevention is next, and Kent, our department head, is on Zoom.
Okay. Chief, you want to come to the table?
You can have.
Yeah.
How everybody doing today?
Good.
All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You want Kent to roll off?
Yeah, what do you want to do here? Whatever you want to do
Well,
first.
fire prevention we had scheduled first. so-
You want to do Ken first?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think this is gonna be 1, 2, 3. So Kent, do you want to just give an overview of your budget request?
All right, guys, we're getting Ken's online.
Yeah. This year's budget is basically the same as what we did last year. There's no increases. So basically it's pretty simple. I don't know what you Beck, but we're running really well. We're doing a lot of inspections and house sales. But as far as budget, we don't need really that much other than what's allocated.
Who has questions for Ken? I have an operational question. All right, so I'll ask
Okay.
you. Hey, Ken, it's Mark. How you doing? Thanks for being here.
Pretty good. How are
Um,
you?
Good, good. Just an operational question. One of our commercial tenants in town, they got a CO issued this week, and one of the things on the CO was they have to schedule their fire inspection. That box was checked. So they reach out to you for that?
What kind of business is it?
It's a retail store.
Yeah, normally the CO is issued by the building department.
Right.
Okay. We have usually 30 days to get in there and do an inspection. So once we know of a business being opened, we will, whatever inspector is allocated to that property, we'll try to get in there and do an inspection. But if they want to call us, they can call us and we will schedule an inspection.
Oh, so when the CO is issued by the building department, you get a copy of that, and then you automatically go ahead and do the inspection, or the business needs to call you?
Not necessarily. Usually the business owner wants to get everything open, so they come to us
Got
to
it.
see what is done.
Okay,
To
got
fill, they have to fill out a business registration form, which
Got
they
it.
can get on the website. But
it. Okay.
Hey, Ken, operationally on your smoke detector inspections,
yes,
is your staff right now keeping a database when the request is made, whether it's for owner occupied or rental?
no,
Okay, because I know Amanda had started a spreadsheet when she was over there. Would that be something that your staff could pick up to track again?
yeah, but again, it's that all the residential where the two multifamily uses rentals should have been documented in the building department years ago, because they should have approved whether it's able to be a rental or a owner occupied.
All right, so we'll take that up with Bob Braun. Says what I'm getting at, there's a need to ensure that we have a good database of those two-family dwellings and single-family dwellings that are rentals.
Right.
Plus of the lead paint inspection law is where I was really going. And
Right. Somewhere along the line when Amanda was there, she was checking off whether it was a owner occupied or a rental.
Okay.
Somewhere in that spreadsheet, that check off box has over the years has disappeared. So I know Bob came looking for it and Amanda, but we weren't able unless you go through each application. And a lot of times the person filling out the application isn't putting the tenant checking that off on the tenant's end.
All right.
So we don't know.
Okay,
But
I think where we'll head is to have the Bob's office create that in the Mitchell Humphrey software solution. So
yeah, like I said, that should have been done years and years ago. So
I was
because
just wanting to not reinvent the wheel, and if a database was started somewhere, we could pick up on it, but if it doesn't exist, then we'll create it.
like I said, what we do is when because rentals they get turned over sometimes every year, sometimes 3 times a year, depending on the nature of the person renting. So I mean, you would be repetitive and stuff on where the information is, but originally they should have been on the building department checked off, and or the tax records. That's the tax records should know whether it's a rental property or it's a owner occupied.
Yeah, well, it's going to be reconciling a number of those databases, but
Yep.
thanks though. I just wanted to make sure if you had something already started, we could just migrate that over, but.
Yeah, I know Amanda was doing it years ago, and somewhere the spreadsheet that's been doing, Mary hasn't been doing it for years. It's not even, it wasn't on our check sheet. She was going to put it back in, but what we give the police doesn't have whether it's an owner or a tenant.
Hey, Ken, the replacement of the Crown Victoria for $52,000, is that a absolute necessity or can that be
Like Susan came in a couple of weeks ago and asked, it probably could be deferred,
Question, I just want.
So,
but at some point we need to replace it. you know?
Not this year.
And, yeah, so, and maybe not this year, but I think we had discussed, and not when you were here,
Yeah,
but
it's-
I
it's-
think when Alden came last year, about having, the vehicle replaced, through another department. I think that was kind of the suggestion. I don't know what happened with that, whether we followed up on that. I don't think so, but we should.
Like
look
you,
at Transferring.
usually if we get a police car, they're usually pretty well beat up by the time we would get it. And we're just putting Band-Aids on and kicking a can down the road here. So,
We're usually just driving, a mile, 2 miles here and there. So, the fire prevention vehicles usually last, even if they're high mileage.
again, but then the expense of the repairs, then you'd have to increase my repair budget to pick up the repairs. Like the one we have now, the 2003, the catalytic converter is going on it. So
I mean, I get that, but I think we had discussed last year. So as somebody said, it almost feels like Groundhog Day, where we're going over the same thing over and over again. Last year the suggestion was to move another car into fire prevention.
I have one.
Yeah.
So do we have another car?
one?
So is there another car?
Yeah, because we talked about it a year ago.
But is there another car? So even if we would decide to do it, is there a car
Right,
available?
that's the question.
Yeah, we're refining the master list.
Okay, all right.
Tuesday night, we're gonna talk about capital.
Okay, fine, okay.
So, yeah, just.
Mhm.
All right, any more questions for Ken? All right, I think we're good.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your time this morning.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Care.
I saw the ambulance guy sweating a little.
Chief, I got your email about the thing tomorrow morning. I have a
I think it's Monday.
Monday morning, but I have a conflict Monday morning, so I can't.
Think we just throw it out if you're.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. I didn't.
It should be good for the students.
Okay, good. Great.
High school.
Yeah.
Going to high school. Very lucky.
All right, so what's going on, Chief? All right,
How about here? Everything good?
everything is fabulous.
Everybody's in a good mood?
Oh, no.
We don't want to change that either if it's the case, but I think it's somewhat simple, but if you have any questions or I could go over it, but
All right, who has questions? What are the highlights of the capital request?
let's start with that, I guess, right?
Excuse myself. I'm not.
It's
All right, too many people,
gonna say it's very minor for capital this year, which is I think it was days. For you guys don't, but that's all right.
You got a fire truck coming soon, right?
No, we got it. I think that's the one that
No, it hasn't arrived yet.
yeah.
he had arrived.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
No, not yet. It's not in service yet,
Oh,
but we do have it, so.
All right, let's focus on what the chief's got to say about capital.
All right, so I mean, if anybody's got any questions, but the SCBA's, that's the air packs we wear. It's actually like the 5th year of a 6-year program. We spread it out for 6 years.
Why is there, why is there 7 people?
I just fool you guys. This way I can take it out, you know?
That's a hero.
Sometimes I copy the year before, you know what I'm saying? I probably didn't take that out. Like above that probably said 2025. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely happening. Fire hose replacement, some of our hose is 30 years old. It just has to be replaced. And as you can tell, we're gonna spread that out a little bit too. Rescue equipment, that's just like if you know what the Jaws of Life is, or now they make battery operated ones. So we have some of those already, but we're leaning towards getting some more. The one rescue truck we have is 25 years old. And it has the old hydraulics on it, and a couple of the pumps that control the tools, they're broken. And you can't get them anymore. So we either have to upgrade the whole truck or maybe just switch over to the battery tools. So that's where that's coming from. Thermal imaging, for anybody that doesn't know what they are, you can see through smoke or you can, see hot spots in the building. Unfortunately, as you can tell, They're pretty expensive, but that's actually for 3 of them. They're about $8,000 each.
Are they individual units for a person?
No, this stays on the truck and then the officer takes it, or a fireman takes it inside.
What makes the question of why we need 3?
Different trucks.
Okay.
You know, so
Trucking.
each, like, if there is a fire, if somebody takes one, then the other company takes another one. And we have some, just to let you know, but they're also like 15 to 20 years old.
How often are these trucks out at the same time?
How often? It all depends on the type of call. So if it sounds like a fire, 3 trucks are definitely going. You know, but if it's, say, a fire alarm, sometimes we run 1 or 2. If it sounds worse.
So you can't send a one truck without the image. That's when you get screwed, right?
Yeah, I mean, we take different trucks.
With 2 calls.
Have,
Yeah.
yeah,
2 calls, right?
and different trucks have different purposes, so to start switching equipment around during the fall, doesn't make sense. The upfitting is for 2 vehicles. That's the, unfortunately, like installing lights on a vehicle is pretty expensive, $25,000 maybe. And it's also for radios. The radios cost almost $5,000, $8,000 each.
I remember, that you had received a grant for like, some equipment recently with that,
We have 2 grants. One we just purchased, you know, for some turnout gear, protective gear. But we just received another grant for, I think it was $52,000, and that's for gear also, and it's also for a dryer. So I was gonna take off my $65 for the dryer. Well, okay,
The dryer costs $6,500, but okay.
actually, it's like 12,000
Seriously?
for the turnout gear. Yes, I mean, it's crazy. Our washing machine was probably, I forget what that was, but very expensive.
Well, gotta be in the washer.
You're in the wrong business, right?
Yeah, very clearly.
Anything that says fire, forget it, you know.
You got 52,000 per dollar.
No, that's for turnout gear also. I think maybe 12,000 was put in there for the drive.
so I just wanted to ask, whether you're very, clued in or checked into any available grants.
Yeah, we tried, you know, and then,
Bring them to us.
I mean, about this grant, I guess Susan would know better, but I think the town has to have the $52,000 available, I think. That's how the other grant worked.
Most grants.
So that has to be available. I think they pay for it, then they get the money.
Right.
But I'm not, you know,
That's what exactly.
but if that's the case, then 52,000 will have to be added to the budget somewhere.
Question. For electric car fires. I was told that there's a product where it's basically a fireproof blanket. You can't spray water on it, electric vehicle, obviously.
You can actually. You just have to spray a lot. Like you're there for
What happens when the battery
like
crashes?
8 hours or whatever.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Spray water. Yeah, you could be.
Yeah.
How many hours?
Hackensack just had one, they were there for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the batteries itself is on fire.
Yeah.
If it's like a regular fire and just the car part, then it's.
Yeah, you know, just to digress for a quick second, but on this topic, it's gonna be interesting to see over the next X amount of years, the whole practice of parking your car in the garage, whether from an insurance standpoint, it even falls out of favor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, with these types of issues. I mean, of course, I beg the question of meetings and their viability. There's so many of them, actually.
Right.
Even
But I mean,
scooters are a problem, right?
The scooters are a problem, yeah.
All the time.
we threw out all of our scooters because of that reason.
Did you? Yeah.
Because of the battery, you know, the kids don't use them anymore, but instead of leaving in the garage for 25 years, we, you know, threw them out right away, yeah.
But getting back to the blanket,
Yes.
I've seen that,
Yeah. Thoughts?
It worked?
you still have to cool the battery, like it all depends what the problem is. If the battery is going out of control and heating up, then you have to cool it.
And then
the
you would
blanket
put the
will do
blanket
that.
on.
You know, and then the blanket would probably initially put the fire out.
But
And then,
we have a tremendously high, EV ownership rate in this town.
you see it every time, right? I mean.
Every time you're out.
You see the
So
Teslas, right?
It's a very good,
Yeah, but the water would actually, we look into the blanket. I mean, everybody's coming up with something, you know, so
Oh, you wanna wait it
I
out?
think, yeah, I think the technology is
Will
probably
get
gonna get
better.
better
Well-
and, but the blanket, I mean, all it does is smother it,
Right.
you know?
Good question.
What I would like
If
to
you get
design
one.
is some type of container that you can fill up like a pool and leave
And
the
then you
car in
jump in
it.
the car
And then you're done. And so if anybody comes up with that, you know how much a dryer costs, this would cost.
Chief,
You don't think we should purchase one?
One or two, just.
Maybe we can look into it, you know,
Training,
did you notice how much they were though?
I think it was under 1,500 each.
1,500?
Yeah, I think.
So we can look into it and it might even be in like the budget I have.
Okay.
If it's only 15, I'll say only 1,500 for a blanket, right?
Okay.
But, so we can look into it, you know,
Thank you.
I mean, they make something that punctures the battery,
Oh,
and
that's-
water, I mean,
That's a terrible idea.
yeah, it is, I think so.
That's the dumbest thing.
But with,
How many EV problems were there?
so far, not many, we had a couple scooters, but no cars yet. And like I said, if the car itself is on fire above the battery or whatever, then you're okay, but the battery's involved. I mean, if the battery is like, sure, you know, but it's like the whole car, you know?
like
Hey,
technology will improve. All right, so I've got a question for you. You wrote this narrative on page 2 about the fire department and the DPW. I thought we were I thought some of our DPW employees are volunteer firemen.
Let's see. There might be one that's a member of our fire department,
Okay,
and then there's others that are members of different departments.
so you're essentially asking for us to encourage the DPW members to become members, volunteers for the fire department and get them trained.
Which they did already in the past.
So what has happened? People have retired and so you have a new crop of people there?
Maybe, you know, you have a new DPW foreman or whatever you want to
Right.
call him, whatever that, and, he might not be too keen on letting his people go. You know, so we have to, you know, we sat down with him once already, but I think we have to sit down and just explain to him. I mean, I think it's in the ordinance already
Okay,
that they can go.
all right, so David, some more
Right,
conversation.
so it could be a matter
It's a
of,
balancing act.
It's a balance, of course, and when we're down 6 employees over there, so it's even a bigger balance.
Principal Morrison hates kids leaving school all the time.
Right.
Steve.
Hey,
I mean.
Thanks,
Okay, go ahead, hold on, Adam's on, go ahead, Adam.
hey, Chief. No, sorry. Thank you again for everything and awesome for tomorrow. It's actually two things probably for Susan. I think the first one is, and these are general things that I'm just seeing here. So the first one is we know every time we get a vehicle, whether it's police, fire, etc., there's the uplift for it that we don't take into account. So when we purchase a new police car, we should be budgeting for the full uplift. So we bought a ladder truck. It's a pretty useless item if you don't have any radios in it or lights. We know it's going to happen. So we should be planning better when we purchase a vehicle. We should also be budgeting at that same time for what's going to come next. So if we could just do that going forward.
You should know the all-in, we should be putting forth the all-in costs.
Correct.
Well, one
Right.
request, but two,
Yeah.
they also don't, they
Don't
wait
know
for
when
the
we're gonna get it.
vehicle to get in before
But
they.
I think the point is, and I think from a budgeting perspective or capital planning perspective, if you're gonna say the ambulance, we'll use the ambulance is $350,000, I would suspect they're gonna come back and say you need $40,000 to raise radios, so we should be looking at $400,000 commitment.
Or we
Right,
could
so
do
we-
it
right.
over 2 years, because it takes months to get it.
Right.
So I don't wanna borrow
But you would put
when I
the
don't have
number,
it.
Right.
put the number in the
Yeah.
capital plan when you're doing a capital plan, so it doesn't become a surprise.
Right,
Exactly.
so like when you do a vehicle, just like this one,
The next year.
the next year, make sure it's in. Yeah.
So that's just one general thing. And then the second one, and again, I've seen it all morning, this morning, and I'm sure if I look back, there is, we should be looking at are people spending the budget we have? So again, I could do this for any of them, but if you look at the fire, we've been averaging about $300,000. We budget 350, and then, I mean, what is that? 15, 20% different. So we should, and again,
What page are you on now?
hey, it's everyone, but if you go to page 9 of the report, which is just the final from the chief, I'm saying, and I noticed this in TVAC as well, everyone this morning. It's a big difference. I mean, we're burdening our residents with a 15 to 20% higher tax when we're not using it. I'm all for using it, but if we have noticed that over a few years we are not using it, we shouldn't burden the tax residents with the tax.
It's partially the incentive. Well, Adam, it's partially the incentive bonus for those that may be eligible. That's one
If you go up to
part.
the top portion of this page 9, that sort of tells the story. So you're budgeting 141.5 across 19 through 24. And then the usage of it has flowed, the highest of which was 2020 at 154,000. So you went over. And then last year you were at 101,000. Is this as of November?
This is current.
Current.
Yeah.
But we always know if we need to, we could always find funds somewhere else and increase it. We know we could do that. Not for $100 billion, but for 10,000 or whatever.
I understand surplus. So Adam, I don't know.
I understand the surplus perfectly.
No, you
It's
don't,
a
because-
black hole that we don't need.
I just want you to understand one thing. If you
Yeah.
cut this budget too thin, we're not gonna regenerate surplus, and what'll happen is you won't be able to anticipate surplus to reduce the taxes.
Right. And again,
Bottom
broader
line.
conversation, we're talking about a 20% increase. That is not a little bit or cutting too thin. That's a massive difference. So again, for us to look at, I will tell you just, I think, David, one thing that'd be helpful is let's look at what the budget is and, for the past 3 years and what was spent. And again, 5%, 10%, which is still a huge variance, I'm okay with. 15 or 20% would say that we're not being as frugal as we can be, but we could take a look at it.
All right.
Totally understand the surplus, totally understand the need to put more money in, more than we should be. But 15 to 20% is a huge number to be off.
Chief, before you go, you may want to touch on the used ladder and your idea that you asked by me about the county.
Oh, okay, yes, just going back to what he was speaking about, I guess, that we had 141 and it's 100,001.
Right.
In December, we used part of that money for the stipend, so it probably happened already, but it's probably not shown here, so it's like another 15,000
Yes.
is gonna be added to that
Right.
101. Because it comes out of the
You have one more month left, right?
1 month that always
Yeah.
gets carried over to
Into the next year.
2024.
So,
Also, the point, we're gonna have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 more members that are gonna qualify for the stipend. So I see that number going up.
Mhm.
All right, so just to explain that part, and talking about the ladder truck is the older ladder truck. The county came up to me, someone from the county, the academy up in Mawa, and they are interested in getting our old ladder truck, but they don't want to pay for it, of course.
Oh, you'll take it off your hands.
Kinda, but the only thing with that, we've been trying to sell it, but now it kind of broke. So it's probably $10,000 to $20,000 to fix it. So anybody that was kind of interested in maybe buying it, and I'm talking about maybe buying it for 20 to 30,000.
Now we're not.
So now they're not interested. Maybe we still have one party that might be interested, but they're kind of backing off a little bit. So the county came up to us and said, if we wanted to donate it to them, they would have it repaired. So I mean, it's up to anybody here if they're interested. We've donated fire trucks in the past 20, 30 years ago or whatever.
Can I trade it for an
Have
ambulance?
you tried, I know you guys been on watching the other fire departments, but have you ever thought about maybe just for the public, like,
Some kid might want a big old fire truck. You're not wrong.
I mean,
It's a great myth
somebody,
rental.
right, exactly.
Right. I mean,
And I'm just thinking about the people that like,
it would make a nice playground.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
No, I know, but if you ever drive around
I mean, I've seen.
here,
places that you can crazy stuff.
yeah, you can stick the ladder out and it could be a jungle gym, whatever, but,
Have we ever, actually, Chief,
and look.
have we ever tried to sell it to someplace other than another fire department?
they can't get rid of, you know.
I just said that, Adam. I just had.
I'll tell you, I mean, this is 100 years ago.
If they're hard.
So
to
my,
whether you.
my college for,
Guys, hold on, wait. Too many people. Adam, go ahead.
so complete coincidence, my college fraternity, and I never understood the story behind it. Our mascot is a fire truck or whatever it is. And we have thousands of chapters across the country. Literally, the aspiration is for them all to have a fire truck. I swear to God, it's Pi Kappa Alpha. I have no understanding why they do this. And they buy fire trucks. Literally, Pi Kappa Alpha, they buy fire trucks because every chapter wants one. Obviously, it's not a real working fire truck, but they keep it on their property. I'd look into it.
Sell it. Go ahead. We try.
Follow up
We can
there.
sell it, you know, that's fine, yeah.
All right, so maybe David will talk to the county about this, tracking down fraternities.
You're right.
All right, who else has questions for the chief? Chief, any more comments?
Well, this is a capital question, I guess.
Go ahead.
The one that falls under fire. There's $3.5 million line item, kind of glares at you. That's something to talk about now.
Which one are you looking? Now's the time. What page one?
Page 12, 2027, 3.5 million after renovation expansion. It's in the fire. Section. There's clearly $3.5 million line item.
Right, for 2027.
Correct.
That's argument is 3 years from now. I mean, if you, unless, I
Well, I
mean,
understand that, it's just appears.
well, because he's planning for the future. It's a 5-year plan.
We're running out of space, believe it or not, and with the washer, the dryer, we're running out of storage space, you know. So it's
All right, one at a time here, guys. Go ahead.
We would look for grants, of course, for that, you know, anything that would help, but that's, like the mayor said, is in the future. I do have one subject, it's about maybe having a service come into the fire department for cleaning. I know the borough's kind of short with manpower for the crew they have right now to take care of the borough. So it wouldn't be anything crazy, it would be maybe having them come in maybe once a month, just do a little bit better cleaning. I mean, we try to do it, but we run out of time also, and I know the borough is, like I said, shorthanded. They might hire people, but even if they do, I think they're still gonna be kind of shorthanded to do some of that work. I know, I think the DPW, maybe the senior center, maybe uses an outside
They do.
agency once in a while.
use an agency. We just
So we're,
switched.
so we're thinking about that. I don't know
Library.
if I should try to put that in my
Library uses someone
budget
else.
this year or.
Outside.
Yes.
So should he?
What would it cost?
This year?
Well, so I think it's like around 30-something thousand a year, around there. So we have to be careful. We go over the 44 too. We got multiple quotes. So I don't know how much cleaning we can.
No,
figure
I think
out.
it would be something like
Once a month.
maybe once a month or something, and there's like a few bathrooms.
We could get a quote and see what it'd be because we just switched.
Oh, you did?
I don't
Okay.
even know if they started yet.
And who switched to DPW? Is that who it is?
Yeah, we what happened was we had somebody else and then we asked for a new quote for this year. And the previous cleaning company was lower than the new cleaning company, so we switched back.
All right, so we get the contact and we can get a price maybe.
Mhm.
All right.
So the question on the grant writing application for 12,000. I know that was added into
We put it
the
under,
administrator,
yeah,
and you know, but I'm not sure if there should be the 12,000. It's separate for the fire, and the grant writing is for the fire, right? So
It's very fire specific though.
it's fire specific, but we have lines in our budget for grant writing.
right, that's.
And I think, did you use Millennium the last time? Who wrote the last grant? Do you know?
I'm not sure, whoever the borough actually uses. but-
This last March 8th was.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
yeah.
you know, Millennium, we put other grant writing in another
So
spot.
wait, Vanu brings up a good point. Or not, you know, is this a sign that we're paying twice for the same service?
No,
No.
what we were proposing is to bring it under one control line.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
Right now,
grant
it's separated, so we're gonna put all the grant.
That makes sense.
We need to add the 12,000.
So the fire department will get the grant writing they need, but we'll,
Yeah, no, do we need to, is that, you know, are we putting in too much? Because for the fire department,
Was
If
it-
they
was
need
that line in two
$12,000 in services.
It's not in two places.
But maybe if we package it in with our stuff, and if it's only like 5,000.
Well, we could look. Do you know how much the grant was? Because I don't remember.
How much?
So they're gonna do four.
I think they was maybe like $1,500 maybe, but not so much.
Are you gonna do that many?
All right, one at a time, guys.
So they just got another grant, just so you know, for 52,000.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna be adding that into the
So
budget.
you're gonna be combining the grants on the one category. And then the question becomes is look at whether we need to have the full 12,000.
Yeah.
We're only spending 6, right? Then,
So we'll
Yeah.
do you anticipate more grants this year?
I mean, we've been doing what, maybe for a year or something.
All right, so if you take what you.
there's $6,000.
Yeah, so maybe we could reduce that, but we'll look at how much we
Okay.
spent in total.
Perfect.
So just for anybody who might be watching publicly,
Well,
so if you could explain, so a few years ago, we had funded for a new fire truck and you're saying you received some. So what's the rollout?
Oh, like, when are we gonna start using it? Well, we're training on it already. It had to go back to the dealers, which was stuff. So we have it now. I would say it's gonna probably be in service in 2 weeks.
And will you be doing one of those parties? So
We're gonna maybe do a muster that is a little bit different than what you were speaking of, but we're trying to get the community to come together, maybe in June.
June.
Yeah.
No, because I'm not even joking in the sense of like, I think it's really important that the community knows
Right, yeah.
that this
Yeah.
new.
We were gonna do it for the last
Fought
one
for
a
safety.
few years ago and then
We have a
Pandemic.
big plan coming up.
Yeah.
Then, fine,
All right. Who's got more budget questions for the chief?
pay for it.
You can bring it to show and back as well.
Chief, any more questions for us?
No, good luck with
Thank you, Chief, for all your work.
Thanks for being here today.
And good luck with my budget. Oh, you're welcome, thank you.
All right. What? Police or not?
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be.
I thought
Is the chief,
10:30.
is the police chief here? Well, let's take a 2-minute break while we get the police chief. Adam, we're taking a 2-minute break while we round up the police chief.
Yeah, it's the height, but it's also the distance from the building is, good old geometry, you know.
He said about 10:30. I talked to
The
him.
real life, yeah.
Hey,
I
Rob,
mean, if you drive
we're
by
taking a 2-minute break
Paris now,
again.
right, that looks very high, right?
I think you.
Okay, yeah, come on over in like, 2 or 5 minutes.
And it worked out.
Yeah.
No.
The next one doesn't start for half an hour?
No, we're not, come on. We're gonna take like a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Chief's fine, he's on his way.
I think we'll be done.
Oh, do you? Oh, good, good.
Over to you guys.
All right, yeah, that'd be nice.
So,
You have a big screen there.
Yeah.
So-
Big screen, yeah.
because we keep putting more and
Yes.
more percentage of our surplus, I think it's gonna be okay this year.
That was weird, that was.
Susan.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Oh,
You
no.
might have to put live. It's fire in there.
We're all recording.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah, right?
Oh, chief.
The chief is.
So that kind of worked out, right? A little bit.
It's all good, so much.
Yeah.
It's up there.
That you, right? Yeah.
Some stuff is sleeping.
Even that's. Sometimes it works out, right? Thank goodness.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Good luck.
All right, Chief, take care.
We'll send it.
Whenever anyone wants to.
Yeah.
Upward. I do have to say it is, I don't want to jinx myself, but I like how we are
We're out of here at 11:30.
able to leave early
focused.
generally.
We stay focused.
Pacing is good.
What?
I said the pacing is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all Julie. Julie's keeping us in line.
What did he say?
I said Julie's keeping us in line.
There you go.
Everyone's getting ready for St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, I'm all good here. If you were here, I'd make you wear green, not purple.
For you, once a year, I'm willing to wear green and not
You're
purple,
gonna do it.
but only one day.
Well, it looks like you're wearing yellow today.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing anybody. This is an off day between the two conferences.
Yeah, it's very springy. It's
Yellow is
good.
springy.
I like it.
Yellow is springy. Can you see me? I'm all springy.
You match.
See that?
Win it.
Mark and I make sure that we wear the same clothes.
Yeah.
You called it, didn't you?
So I received
Yeah.
an envelope from the borough, the administrator in the township of Washington.
Okay,
Inside of it was an envelope from the township of Wykoff.
okay.
And inside that was a letter addressed from the Superior Court of Hackensack to the mayor of Wykoff. But the letter itself was to myself and the police chief.
What is
So
it?
it's all about some technology that's going on from the court that we have to. So I want to give, I just received that today.
Okay.
That one a bizarre path. Chief, how you doing? So the chief is gonna need a copy of that letter.
Oh, no. I wish. Yeah.
Chief, there's
Cool,
bagels,
cool to be
orange
different.
juice inside your line.
Something, maybe on the way out.
Hey, Chief.
I just had a couple of.
And Adam's online here.
Nice to see you.
From LA.
Sorry, I'm not there, sir.
That's okay. But you are here, that's.
There you go.
You mind if
Go right ahead.
You missed a good food conference. You guys missed out. Expo West.
That must have been fun. When are you flying back today?
No, I now have an investor conference on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
I got the same letter.
That's
Okay.
right. Oh, you-
Coming back just in time for the budget meeting on Tuesday night.
Wonderful.
I don't think we are, you know, looking into this, but I do know some of the towns that, unless you guys were considering it, but.
What is that?
All right, you guys ready?
Unfortunately, prohibited parking, it's electronic parking monitoring. It's like using systems to. Wait, what is it? It's just basically, it's not meters. What is it? It's just basically, there might even be also devices where they,
It's the scanners that are on the side of the cars. That's how I interpreted that letter.
you
That,
drive.
like they have in the city, you drive up,
Yeah.
86th Street and you capture everything.
Well, we don't have that.
Right.
So I'm not,
Good, are
I'm
you?
not really planning to do that unless.
Okay.
Yes, like, yeah, so when I got the chance, I wasn't concerned about it. It didn't really apply to us. But
All right, let's get going. Julie, who are we missing? Benu?
here, I'll,
Okay, yeah.
That's a-
We're waiting for the chief to sit down.
You want to keep this or you want to just?
I don't want to.
Okay,
I've read
okay,
it.
gotcha.
Hello,
how are you?
Yeah, it's really, yeah.
It's Saturday morning.
All right, chief, how you doing? Thanks for being here. What's going on?
Not much, well, that's something, I mean, so something going on. So, our newest recruit started the academy yesterday. Nicholas Fiorelli, so that's good news. So our staffing is coming back. That only leaves us, one down right now, something, and that's that, disciplinary termination proceeding, something which I can't talk about now, but that's the process, so, but, other than, am I going into my spiel right now, or?
You're going into your spiel right
Okay.
now. Hey, can I ask you to add one thing to your spiel a little bit?
Yes,
The chief and I have had on again, off again conversations from requests from residents over the past year or so about the whole issue of speed bumps in town in selected areas, and there's all kinds of pluses and minuses. It's not a clear. But that's just one thing. If at some point we talk about that this morning for 2 minutes
I did have something to touch on that, yes.
about, calming traffic.
Yeah.
But go ahead, chief.
All right, so hopefully you read my memorandum, so a little snapshot of some of the challenges and things we experienced in the past. And some of the common occurrences that are gonna take place again in the future that history has shown us. From an overtime standpoint, I think that what was recommended, what was recommended. I'm hopeful, I'm not gonna even go near that number this year because our staffing's coming back. And we spent a little bit more last year because obviously because of the staffing, because the officer retired, the officer that was disciplined, that was suspended, and the officer that left us in the fireman. So we went down, and then also too, and then some family leaves, and then also too, we did the SRO a little ahead of schedule, so I pulled someone out of there, something so that, but also too, we had a couple big events. With the Israel at war and having to have more staffing for security purposes. That's the X factor, the unknown. So I'm in very close communication with the TNF chief. And they're very busy. As a matter of fact, on a side note, they were having a real estate sale and they were supposed to have another one tomorrow. And he actually spoke with a couple of rabbis and decided to postpone it. Because obviously it's just, we actually had 3 people live in Tenafly because we have some people on rapid deployment team, rapid deployment force. And they were there and support. That cost us overtime. So, we don't know how this is going to play out, but there could be some big events again in the future that require me to have a lot of personnel on hand, but hopefully that doesn't happen. But just from a regular standpoint of staffing, you guys have been very good and responsive in approving hiring people to get the capable organization back to where it is. So I believe we're going to have some, we should see some level of course. Like I said, I told you, Nick really started the academy today. So yesterday it was great. One project that we had something that was successful. This is a capital thing, but the camera systems. So we have the county has basically what they call the iron ring around the county. I have the iron ring around the town, which is working well for us because it just basically tracks cars coming and going from town. It's only used when we have a reasonable suspicion to look at them and not look at randomly. They have paid off very well in couple investigations. We have made some arrests and burglaries and thought that, which is great. That's just
Pull them up.
They're on now, but
They're
we're not,
on, but you don't.
but we're not connected. Yeah, no, but we would have a time of resource. We couldn't do that. But
It's stored at the county.
the county
Yeah,
prosecutor has
24
it,
hours.
but now other towns have the ability to access it. We have the towns to access, ability to access other towns. What's happening now is that all communities, other states are getting these cameras and then they're interconnected and it's kind of like following the trail of crumbs. You know, something, if you have a car, you can kind of follow it to something and then, but now a lot of crimes, unfortunately, a lot of criminals are committing crimes in stolen vehicles, which are, there's no nexus to the person driving if they stole a car. But believe it or not, we still are pretty.
Use their own car?
Well, no, but we're pretty good at, they'll use the same car with multiple crimes. There is a high definition picture and there are still ways to put someone behind that wheel. So we do have some successes. It's not absolute. But the point of the LPR system is that we have around town, not so much ALPR, but just cameras. And I wrote it in here also too, and in the capital part of it, the narrative. But I think there's a need for some cameras in the downtown area. We've had unfortunately some dust to place from Mint, having contact with the owner and the daughter. We're involved in that business. We had some.
It's so 2 things. One is on the Alpers. We had talked about you're putting it on the town line basically.
Yes, I have that now. Yes,
Between 2 towns.
correct.
And so, for example, if you're looking at Presco gets the advantage of that as well. Are we sharing that cost in any way? Between the Bergenfield and Presco?
We're not right now, so there's something called the deconfliction and towns should be communicating or something. And we told Anglewood that we had cameras up on the south end of town and Anglewood wants to put cameras up on their north end.
Well, so that's.
But so here's the thing, so there's an advantage when a town owns and possesses the cameras because the camera is not actually on the actual border. It's a little tucked in like a block because it has to be a utility pole control. Right? And there's nothing that really is on the border is not so precise. And when a vehicle is traveling on Ivy Lane and depending which way it turns, you may not get that benefit. So there is a more of a benefit for us to have our own cameras. The cameras we already bought, the monthly costs are not all that exorbitant. So, and if the other cameras, and it's a great point, but no, we don't, you know, something, and some of the other towns,
Aren't coming to us,
no, but that's the thing that in the future, well, on a tangent, in 2 years from now, well, a year and a half from now, we have to look to buy a new machine to measure the breath, the alcohol contents of the breath. About a $27,000 machine. I've already approached the chief of press and says, hey, do you want to come part? And he says, yes. And I think even another time, but something, and I'll house it, you know, something, and our drunk driving arrests or something have actually come down with Lyft and Uber, which is great. So I don't see like a major burden of having it here, but I'm looking for ways to also share costs. So that's one.
And how does that, and with that specifically, how does that work? Do they take the machine?
Now, the machine has to be in a place
In one
permanent, the police comes and actually inspects
they
it.
bring it.
And they would bring the prisoner here, so but we have a new facility, and it's obviously, you know, the South Fork, they come in, the processing, they go back out, so it wouldn't be a problem to the department. But I am very open to looking to keep our costs down and share costs with other towns.
Okay, so that's Alfred, and you were gonna talk about the downtown. I don't
So,
want-
so they don't actually have to be
But I love it.
ALPRs, they could just be regular cameras. But I do believe that there's a need, we've had a couple examples, I think, incidents where a couple flags were vandalized, a couple flags of Israel. There's been some vandalism.
I have a question for you. If you're the owner of them, does anything prevent you from putting a Ring camera on your door if you were that store owner? Because I'm a walker and I always have a joke with my husband. I go, we're the most recorded couple. We're real joking. I will like a change costume because, you know, because you go down the street and you are recorded the entire way because of everybody's Ring cameras. I guess I would just, that's the only, I can't control what the Mint owner does or doesn't do, but I would say that if we were gonna take an action as a governing body, I'm not comfortable without opening that up to our population and seeing how they felt about bringing cameras to the downtown like capital C, like, you know, with connected to the police department. I think that the population has to know, like, do we want, you know, videos downtown? It's a different move. And I don't think we should really be like yes or no without bringing that into a larger cause. But if I'm a business owner and I'm worried about flags, vandalism, things like that, there's nothing stopping me from having, you know, a system, right?
So this is actually, I mean, I was waiting for you to finish your item, but I wanted to say exactly the same thing. That, you know, I don't know that we necessarily want to put, you know, our resident down. You know, it's already, first of all, it's a preponderance from businesses, but, you know, but the other thing is, yeah, I mean, you know, if a particular store is getting hit, they have an insurance policy that generally covers, you know, that and stuff like that. You know, and nobody likes to have something like that happen, but I don't think that at the moment, you know, we're concerned about public safety. I don't think we're seeing a sign of public safety issues. In the downtown.
Well, so,
I mean,
we would be a little
go
bit
ahead.
behind the curve. Every other town has them.
Yeah.
We're kind of, this is like some, so like Englewood, Bergenfield, Teaneck, they have something. But basically, this would be more looking down Washington, looking down not at a specific thing, and just, and I had said, we could pull out the ALPR thing, like license plate tracking, and just have a regular camera that just, but it's not looking at anyone's businesses. It's looking at basically for actions, for pedestrians to get struck, or something that's for suspicious people, just people that fall on the sidewalk. It's for all those reasons. So it's not Big Brother watching you, and there would be no.
But it is Big Brother watching.
But you do realize there's cameras on every segment.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we have residents who have been complaining, or rightfully so, over car thefts over the past few years. And they were screaming at us to put cameras up. We couldn't get them up fast enough.
And how effective has that been?
Extremely effective.
No, in terms of the statistics, you know, how.
Go ahead, chief, tell them.
So the camera, was the ring around?
Yeah, the ring around cameras, yeah.
We have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that we have it, how
Right.
good is that? We've arrested several people for car thefts and burglaries.
No, but I mean, I'm talking like, you know, is it 90% or is it 5%?
I can't put a percentage.
I mean, so, you know, but how, in terms of effectiveness, are we looking at the higher end of the range or the lower?
No, it's probably, it's probably the lower end, you know, something to be perfectly honest, but some of these investigations are still ongoing, something, so it takes months, sometimes years to catch something, so.
It would be zero without the cap.
Correct, right.
I thought we would have had
So
that.
it's just capturing plates or something, and that we communicate with other departments are using, benefiting from our cameras, we're benefiting from other cameras, it's a tool, but it's not an absolute.
Are there signs that's saying that there's surveillance in the town when you come in?
No,
Or do we need to put those?
no, there's no requirement for that.
So I just want to pivot a little bit away from what you're talking about, but back to what I mean is that. So if you want a camera down Washington Ave, there's it. For the purpose of, okay, you know, whatever can happen on it. I am not comfortable with the six of us saying, go or don't go without bringing this issue to the people for feedback.
Right.
Because.
Well, why we didn't do that with the cameras around town?
But because
security
that,
cameras.
the purpose of the cameras are making the ring around town, as it was always described to me, was these are only pulled up when there's an active investigation and there's a pursuit. We're not, as the prosecutor says, I want to pull from Tuesday at 3 p.m. So it's not for the purpose of surveilling us as we drive around town.
Yeah, no.
No, of course, it never happened.
It
This
was
wouldn't be
only
either.
for- Well, I'm not sure. This goes right to your downtown and you're saying, okay, when a person falls and a person this and that, we are going to be recorded as we walk throughout our downtown. That's a change from where it's been. And I'm not saying anything's preventing a particular, business from putting their own ring camera or anything like that. But that is a market change, I think, that we have to let the people of Tenafly weigh in on. If they say, I'm very comfortable, go for it, then I just don't think that it's appropriate for us to make a big change now. And I do remember when Inglewood was talking about their first red light camera, and it was quite a lot of brouhaha, and then I think, if I remember correctly, and then it got stopped for a while,
One on Nike, that got stuff.
it was unconstitutional. There was a lot of discussion about that. It was about a decade or maybe more
Well,
back.
my particular opinion on that is that more rogues than honest men have hidden behind the Fourth Amendment.
Fair enough. Well, look, but that's beside the point.
Abraham Lincoln.
I want to talk about your budget and talk about a lot of the cameras where we have, the targeted needs. I'm just saying that before we go yay or nay on putting one downtown, I just think that is
Well, look, I mean, we can certainly talk about it and to be considered in a council meeting.
Yeah.
Upcoming council meeting,
Yeah.
and it's there for the public to attend. Then we have an open conversation about it, and that's perfectly reasonable. And then we decide what to do. Yeah.
But I'd like the discussion and to be considered before we consider the budget.
So add it to this Tuesday's council meeting.
The first question for you in that context, I'm very much in favor, apologetically, very much in favor of doing the recordings, but I do have a question in support of your argument. Do you, if businesses put ring cameras on, do you as law enforcement have a legal right to access those cameras in the event that something happened? Or is that opt-in by the person who owns the camera?
It's often,
It's
so whenever we have crimes downtown, something or crimes in neighborhoods, we canvass the neighborhood and we ask for cameras, and sometimes we get some good footage, and lots of times we don't, so there's no.
But there's not an obligation for them to provide.
No.
Well, unless this is a legal question,
well,
unless
I'll
someone
tell you
shows up with a subpoena.
Well,
Correct.
Different story.
I'll tell you what, unless it's homicide, too bad you would.
Yeah,
But the small stuff.
and then second question on that is, if you have these cameras downtown, one of the complaints that you hear resoundingly, I may have done this myself the other day, in a K term, not a formal term, is U-turns on Washington Ave. Could you ticket somebody on the basis of that, which could self-fund the cameras down?
No, no,
You can't.
no, because you'd have to capture a plate and then you have to put a driver behind you. You gotta have police on the ground. So these cameras, and again, we'll get off it, obviously, we're not selling them now, but we will not be watching these cameras.
Right.
These cameras will be like,
It's over cool.
we got cameras that are on Borough Hall and in schools, and if someone says, oh, and we'll go look and we'll look at it, so, yeah, it would be captured on a computer in the cloud, but, we don't spine anyone, but we're not settling it, but I understand. We're not settling it.
Can I just say for to be considered that it not be on this Tuesday is to be considered because the agenda was already made up and posted? Can we put it on?
When are we voting on the
The
budget?
budget's not till when?
Well, the budget will be introduced on April 9th.
Okay, good.
So when's the next meeting?
So I'm
March?
giving everything to the auditors.
Oh, the meeting's April 9th?
Yeah.
And the budget,
Well-
introduction's April 9th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could go on April 9th, because it could be added then, of course, then
Are
it's
you
not
gonna
bad.
change anything in the budget?
Well,
Yeah, but Susan has to bring in the budget. She doesn't want to change it on the
Well,
fly.
this would be capital issue, right? Capital.
And this can be.
So I could do this later, this.
This can be a separate.
So it's not an issue.
There will be an issue for the budget, the operating, but no.
Okay, all right.
So we,
All right, thank you.
yeah, it can. It can be in my capital plan. Then when we do the ordinance, we can decide what to do.
That's fine, yeah, April 9th is fine.
Okay.
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 Moving on.
Yes.
So now, cars is always something, a hot topic or something, in these meetings. So with the size fleet that I have and the condition of the extra duty cars that are really bad shape and we have a hard time even getting them inspected and things of such. I was actually doing well with the fleet when I was getting two to three cars per year. Last year I went down to one car. And I'm already feeling the strain. The cars are in bad shape and something, and
Last year was one with the half coming out of, the other half coming out of,
Extra duty.
yeah.
right, but I only got one car.
Out of, like, there was no car supply
So we only got one car, so the 1.5, it probably paid for the outfit. Possibly, but we only got one car last year, just.
How long do your cars last?
It depends, if they're an adjunct car for the detective bureau, traffic bureau, or the admin, something they can last years, if they're in patrol, 3 to 4 years before they get transitioned to the outside duty, because, I mean, they go 24/7.
nonstop.
Heat kills them, heat. So I put in a request for one in capital, but the one in capital, I've been for pickup truck. We've been playing on it for quite some time. A lot of ones have that. It would be obviously a utility vehicle. That would be a more vehicle that could be used obviously for patrol purposes, but mainly would be in our traffic division for signs and barricades and sandbags and things like that.
Tell me, we can, like a trailer.
And the trail, yeah, and then we can pull the trail with some of our SUVs, but there's just, something, whether we're doing firearms training, and we have other equipment, something that there's a need to have an open bed, so we've never had a pickup truck. And I think it's time to do that.
So, yeah, theoretically, if you got the Ford, like the electric pickup truck,
Right.
with that, like, for a 300-mile range, or let's call it 150-mile range, be sufficient for your daily operations?
Potentially, because I don't see this vehicle being a 24/7
Right.
patrol vehicle, potentially, yes.
Essentially,
Yeah. And then I requested a car in the operating, which was cut back a little bit, but I'm okay with that because of the outside duty fees that have been redirected back into that line. So moving the first up from 51 or 2,000 down to 30,000, I'd be okay with that. And then the funds that we're going to accrue throughout the year would obviously give us enough to buy another car and the upfit. And I believe also too, I have it somewhere here, but the monies in that account. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but when a car is out on a detail, ECG, Veolia, Verizon, we're charging $125 per day, and that goes back to the dealer purchase license. So right now, I think we have almost $30,000 in that account now.
You have 30 and they generated $100,000 last year. reimbursement to that.
So that money, in addition to some of the budget money, we're getting something together, pays for a car and, the outfit, unfortunately, the outfit is so expensive, but actually the pickup truck would be less. I don't think I would need as much in the pickup truck. But the regular patrol car, the radar, the laptop, the partition in the back for prisoner transport, all the lights, the horn, it just gets very costly. And anything in law enforcement and defense in that category, there was.
When you go out to a PMC, you charge them $25 a day.
Yes.
Is there room to make that 200?
I have an answer. I just surveyed that, and the ranges were 100, 125, 150.
And where are we?
Obviously, if we're at 125.
So we need to go to whatever the max is everybody else is doing.
Why do I care what everybody else is doing?
Well,
Why do I
that's a
go
good
out
point.
outside?
That's a good
I
point.
don't care what the range is. Where's the market better?
No, but
Have you done an analysis on the cost of maintenance of these vehicles and does the 125 a day cover some of these costs, or is it a drop in the bucket?
125 probably is a little bit on the lower side, because we've had for quite some time, it probably is due for an increase.
And it buys you the extra car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that, yeah. Mhm.
How many times a year roughly is a car on outside duty?
Oh,
A lot.
oh my.
180?
Well, so in the next 2 years, I'm sure you're aware of some public
Oh,
service.
yeah.
They're about to build the river before you go.
So what?
So public service is coming, so
Right.
this gas upgrade that basically has plagued and almost destroyed Hankel, but it's coming to Tenafly.
Right.
And it's slowly gonna be moving, I think they're almost hiring 5 officers, 6 officers per day.
Yeah.
They start that, I see that.
Yeah, they
Oh,
started.
I started
Yeah.
Started it
So-
on,
so-
like, Malcolm.
so I always, you know, we can anticipate decent amount of money coming in, but it's not guaranteed, but it's highly probable.
Yeah, they're.
So my question is, generally speaking, this outside the bell curve for a second aside with BSC and G, a car, is it typically used 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week?
With the outside duty,
Yeah. just-
every day,
Every day.
and they're beat,
Okay.
and the problem is that they sit and they just run and heat, something, and listen, Clinton Auto, something, the company, something that maintains, obviously, the vendor maintains, does a great job, something that we try to, get creative with Band-Aids on keeping the cost low, keep them running, but they're beat. And the way that we maintain the fleet is, if I get 2 cars in, 2 cars go out. I get 3 cars in, 3 goes, something, I try and keep the numbers, something, so in and auction them out. I did talk to the finance law something recently, and Susan about leasing, and leasing is something that's discussed, and some department looking into it, but it seems like the smaller departments with smaller fleets have more success with it, the bigger departments, and we're kind of almost in that category. When you look at what happens is that when the leasing program, what they want you to do is at some point in time, and when you first start, you only lease a couple of cars, at some point in time, you're leasing this entire fleet,
Oh.
and it becomes a big number, and that has to come out of operating.
It's not capital.
And Keenan looked at it, they don't see the savings. Anglewood's trying it with their outside duty fleet, just a small segment. So we're watching them and, we're always taking notes and.
No, we didn't.
Do the
Comparison.
outside duty cars have to be upfitted?
Not really, something, so some method, we do like a little bit of stripping and something, so no, all they need is emergency lights and the blue and red emergency lights, and that's all they need.
But no,
Do they have to be on, the entire time they're sitting there?
The lights they do, that's a requirement of the utility. Yes.
But the lights can be independent of the car.
They're not, unfortunately, and I am looking into, because it's a great point, listen, we've gone to LEDs and it's a low draw power. I'd like to have, years ago, been around too long, 30 years ago, we had cars that could have the lights could run without the car on. And then it went to a system where basically batteries were dying or something, so we got away from that, but I want to look into having cars that, yes, can have rest, you can turn them off, and just have the lights flashing with a low power draw.
I don't have a low generator.
But I am looking at that, yes.
Question. Sorry, maybe I don't build off the next question. These cars have to be pursuit rated.
The ones for patrol.
None of the outside people.
No.
No, but usually what we're doing is again, they work for a patrol vehicle, and then when they got too higher miles, they get moved.
If we want to keep the fleet separate by job detail, let's say.
Yes.
There's six volumes. They're different, they could be a different type of car.
Right, so well, the pickup truck, for instance, I want to guess, are they making some pickup trucks that are contributed? Maybe I don't want one of those. I want one that's basically gonna be used for practical purposes. So
Right.
that would be an example of no.
So cutting to the chase for a second with this, if we raised $125 to $200, that's $60,000. I mean, we could do that if the council wants to do that, you could do that by ordinance right away.
What's that?
The utility, predominantly it's the utilities that are paying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
What's your percentage of a typical homeowner that would have to pay for extra duty?
well, I'm sorry, if I want to hire a police officer to.
Yeah, I mean, what part, you have, that's a one-off, right?
Yeah, but what's that rate? I mean,
So,
that's-
the officer fee is $95 an hour for a minimum. And
No,
then
what I'm saying is the
$5
125 to 200.
Yes.
If they move it to 200, it's mostly impacting utilities.
Oh, yeah, outside, not our residents. Yeah.
Feel that increase.
So we don't get a lot of job resident, but like in the ordinance, you could build in a clause that says something that area residents are exempt if they hire. We exempt the house of worship now and schools with the admin, no admin fee and there's no car fee for those. So in the ordinance, you could capture that.
Yeah, that's for residents.
I mean, look,
If you wanted to do that.
if you talk about PSA, they're not afraid to charge us for God knows what it is about.
Yeah.
Building alone. Right.
We're charging.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
Ben
Susan-
is asking.
So.
Sounds like you can add that
I remember,
60,000
a
to the
couple of
budget.
years ago,
And let's get an ordinance underway
Guys,
to authorize that, to edit this, okay?
Ben is asking.
I remember a couple of years ago,
But you-
deviation.
The third meeting we
I
found,
can't
right?
add it to the primary.
I'm listening to you.
It goes back
That's
to.
for what it's worth.
I understand.
Okay.
I think myself, like. Yeah. So,
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
We'll look at that.
Okay, so we're gonna do,
Okay.
go ahead, Manu, go. Yeah, I'm done. We're gonna prepare the ordinance.
So if we ended up going to do that, I remember a couple of years ago that people came to us, wanted to increase there. So now what is the result of, increasing to 200? Do they now,
Per hour.
yeah, but the thing is, they're not going to just look at it like that. They're gonna look at it as, oh, we just raised it, so now that's more money that we can get.
Yeah, so I don't want to speak on behalf, I believe there is isn't there a proposal in there to raise the out to duty fee or no?
Last year. That was last
Last
year.
year.
It went up to 95.
Right, I don't think there's anything out there. But all of a sudden, they're ruffling feathers now and they're bringing in additional.
They're a point, but they are getting new cars out of it. The mayor's point earlier.
They don't care about the cars. I mean, the people, the department may,
Yes.
but the officers don't. So
These
they're-
cars are $100,000 a piece, right? And we've got to find a way to defray that cost.
Well, no.
Are we?
By the time you upfit them,
Yeah,
You
no.
pay
I'm
50,000?
gonna say it's probably 75. I mean, it's still a lot.
as long as you're not doing any maintenance and not putting any gas in them.
Yeah.
But are we
Right.
opening Pandora's
That's
box
my point.
about the idea of now, it's just to consider everybody, we had a big tussle.
We had a
In the
discussion,
town.
about
the
why
part-
the increase to the two,
Vehicle part
and
is us.
no, I get that. What I'm saying,
For the officer's construction.
part of the
No,
discussion,
No ordinance.
part of the discussion at the time,
No, it's not even.
Right, go ahead, Manu has the floor.
No, that's.
no, I don't,
It didn't get put in.
All right, one at a time. What's that? What are we talking about?
hold on. Part of the discussion at the time was if you increase it, it'll, there'll be an indirect cost to the residents anyway, because they'll be paying higher, utility, fees, all these things that go up. So indirectly, you're hitting the consumer anyway. So I think that has to, we have to consider all of that before we just put a resolution.
You're presupposing that PSC is going to increase by building this kind of violation.
They will absolutely.
They're gonna do it anyway.
They can do it anyway. They
No,
don't
no, no, they're still controlled by the utilities, department in the state, right? So they can't just willing it, but if they can show that their costs have increased, then they can.
So you put it at 162.
I don't know what the number is, I'm just saying we have to.
There's a level
look
of
at-
defense.
Well, no, we have to
There's a
look at,
guaranteed
we have to
increase
look at
because
what.
This conversation happened 7 times this count.
Yeah,
So
we have to
to
be,
look at what
Rates
the.
are gonna up regardless.
Right.
Regardless.
we have to be careful not to link everything together. though.
Exactly.
We can't,
So.
because we can't control any of it.
So the other side is, and I wanted to ask about the SRO. We're talking about, you've already selected somebody.
Yeah, they started in December.
They started in December. I don't think we've determined what we're doing.
Well, with the borough we had a joint use meeting this week where we reiterated the clarity of the moving to 70%. Their share based on usage, okay? And we're gonna be hearing from them in the next day or two, early this week.
So now the other part of it, I just noticed on the vehicle list, there's the 2 SRO cars. Are we factoring in any of the additional costs besides just the officer?
Of the cars,
So,
Those 2 of them are.
right, those cars, they're older cars, they're black and white conspicuous, they're driven to the storm shut off. They're just for other times, so there's not much wear and tear on that.
What
It's
kind of-
basically very, here's a police officer and he's in the school.
What kind of maintenance cost annually in those 2 cars?
On this individual part, I don't know.
Because I think the question is, should the cost of maintenance on those cars be incorporated into the asks from the school board?
Why not? So I mean, that's just, those cars would probably just be your typical, your normal, biannual service, probably. Somewhere else, like that.
Like typical, like oil change and that kind of thing?
I don't think.
When was the last time we had a copy?
From the prosecutor's office?
On the cover stuff, where we got the Honda.
The Honda Pilot that we have?
Yeah.
No, but we bought that, but that's ours.
We never had a copy of prosecutor?
We have in the past, we had their test, we tried out, they had a black one. That was
Got it,
phenomenal.
we're fast.
That was phenomenal. The town wants, someone to have electric car. I said, I'll take the electric car. But, no, that was phenomenal. But so the Teslas, it's a little lower center of gravity vehicle. We do go off road. The actually be a bit better. And you still really haven't solved the problem of how do you fast charge a car. I fully believe that in the future, you're gonna have electric fleet. You're not there yet. But the adjunct squad could have one, electric truck, whatever, or.
Is that one you're gonna look at then, the conversation I started with?
Honestly, wasn't going in my mind, but I can, so what we're gonna look to see is also too, like what is, offered under the cooperative or the state bid, so I don't know if that.
I'm not sure, but I did.
I mean, obviously, the way to get around it, but that's.
I know the BCU, I just heard some.
Lightning you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they bought.
And then we'll have maybe more money to work with. The fees for that.
Yeah.
He's still at the utility.
What do you?
I was wondering if he's still at the utility.
What's the, yeah.
And on the side, I'll do, this is not really part of my budget, but I'm not sure if you're aware, but I've been trying to sell my ERT truck
Yes, you just heard.
for about $50,000.
That's fine.
We get Tennessee, the Bergen County prosecutor that he wants it. And something I would
For Tesla.
I would rather the sheriff department, and then when the prosecutor's office wants something, and obviously there's a benefit to obviously the county prosecutors have, because it's gonna serve us. So, I feel bad for Tennessee, it's just a timing thing or something, but, the prosecutor's office is gonna look at it. We just have to figure a way of how to, right, Dave, we have to figure out how to, we're gonna transfer them, because without going through the auction. Hopefully there's a
Are they gonna
way.
pay us 50,000 for it?
I believe Tennessee was gonna pay us that, so if Bergen County wants it, they gotta at least get that, yes.
So there's a resolution on Tuesday night's agenda,
Yeah.
I think on previous discussion, is to authorize an auction for it.
Okay,
So
Should
I
we
would,
pull that?
well, I would submit that we authorize the auction and then we'll do the research to see if we need to use the auction or another process.
So if If what
If we
he's
can,
paying,
if we
they
can
give
do a
them-
transfer without an auction, we'll do that, but this way the auction would be authorized. So
Oh,
that,
so it's just to authorize, you don't have to go to auction,
You don't have to.
well, you would authorize an auction, so we have the authority in place to do an auction.
eventually.
If,
don't have
if
to.
that's,
Eventually.
if that's the method we have to go down.
Should we go page by page for this budget? I mean, we used to.
Age right back, I guess, Chief, are you done with your presentation and ask for
With,
questions, or how do you?
with the operation, yes, I mean, obviously, I mean, didn't really touch on capital, we're not there yet, though, right?
I mean, should, you wanna start?
Well, before, after. It's so, Chief, just, maybe you can say again what who you've lost and, who you've bring. And how many.
Personnel?
Yes, sorry.
So Sergeant Wayne Hall retired after 30 years, and he was replaced by, Jacobson, Christian Jacobson, which is a field training officer right now, so he's about ready to go field training, he's been phenomenal. So he is, obviously, he's commanded a lot to the price, and so he's on the road now. We have Joel Reyes, who is graduating from the State County Police Academy, next Thursday on the 21st, from William Paterson University. I will be there to congratulate him, so he will be, now going to field training, which is 3 months, and then, so he'll be on the road, for 3 months in a week, on his own. And he replaced, the officer that decided to go to Hoboken, given the fire. And then the other officer, that started the academy yesterday, which is Nicholas Fiorelli, he is, filling the extra position in the cable organization created by a new SRO.
Okay, and then there's still one vacancy.
Well, there's not, because that's a termination proceeding, and even though that's going to be, I think it's going to be presented to you, finding of the hearing
We need
officer.
to be careful.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go any further than that. No, he's still with us until it's special.
On that, so you need to have that backfilled, or the folks you have in the academy right now, bring you have a full complement. So when you say extra SRO officer, so you only had one previously, now we have.
So we had one, and then the school decided to get one in the middle school, and it was talk about they're gonna share the cost, and then, the town approved it, and I said, okay, you'll get one next September. Because I need to hire someone, and it's nice, and then due to the urgency and concern that school, has about filling that spot and wanting to get an officer and something in there right away. The town and companies, they asked us, can you do this later? I'm like, I can do it, it's just a little strain on us, but I actually moved someone into that position. Within like it was a month and a half, because the school had to interview him and this and that, and then I then had the vacuum created an open spot.
So essentially adding that SRO is creating a need for an additional.
So it's a fake vacant, like a semi vacancy,
But semi vacancy that we're now on a fund addition.
which he's filled, right?
But he still already needs to.
The addition of the second SRO increased the TO by one person.
But but theoretically, you're gonna have a vacancy, so is that vacancy going, is that potential vacancy gonna be attrition? Or is it gonna be back?
It would need to be backfilled.
The TO's flat down.
But that's because of the second SRO position?
No,
No, not at all.
No, no.
It would be a vacancy,
The second S.
right, what?
no.
It is.
No, the
I have it right
SRO
here.
was an increased role, wasn't it,
So right
added to the
now-
table of organization?
Employee that's not actually.
So you increase the force.
We
By one
went
unit.
from 34 to 35
Right.
account. And
We have 35 right now.
you have 35, but you always had 34,
Yes.
but now.
But
last year you
down
had
from 39.
one SRO. And now you had to put another SRO, so you're saying when the other officer, if you have a vacancy, you need to fill it.
Yes.
Because you moved the SRO over,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we added
Now-
one
now,
person
right
to the
now,
table of
books-
organization, right?
He already hired.
He did hire, yeah, I'm
Like
saying the
that
same
SRO.
thing then,
Yeah.
Right.
yes.
So the 35, that we're talking about, that would include 2 SROs.
It does.
Yes.
So 30.
We have 35 right now.
Mhm, but
But there's a potential.
Yeah, you have 35 on your books, right? Just to get,
But we're not paying to 35. We're paying to 35.
understand for a second. So you have 35, you're looking to have 35 budgeted. Right? And if there were to be a vacancy of one of those 35, you need to be backfilled to continue to have 35, right?
Correct.
We're not looking to go from 35 to 36.
No.
We're going to stay at 35. And then that potential backfill would then be funded in the budget at a academy rate. Okay.
And it would take me a long time to even do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on where we were heading.
You are
Okay.
right on point.
All right, now maybe line by line.
Should we start page 10?
What's the question?
We're going on. What day for that page?
Anybody have questions on page 10?
Rothenberg. Okay.
What's, any questions on page 10?
A lot.
Sections.
I guess there's, Mr. Mayor, I think there's a broader conversation similar to.
Hold on, Adam, go ahead.
I think there's a broader thing that I know we've been discussing in each of the sections, and I know David sent out to all the department heads before this process started, is I don't know if the chief could share with us what efficiencies have we brought to the police department, similar to how I've asked the same question at the other departments. So what have we done? You know, we were talking about the courts and how we're trying to make more stuff digital so we don't even have to have the costs, or what we're doing in the buildings department with digitization. Line by line, the chief is way smarter at this than we are. We shouldn't be going line by line. The chief should be telling us, this is what I've reduced because we don't need buggy whips anymore because most of our police don't use, horses. I don't know if the chief, you could share, what have we done to drive any efficiencies in the department?
So the reason to go page by page is so that Susan can get and understand.
No, we could do that too. That's fine. I'm just saying.
You're not forever, of course.
Right. I'm just saying.
On page 10.
So wait, Adam, so Chief, Adam has a question on the table.
So the way that I've tried to achieve efficiencies is, one example is I just incorporated electronic ticketing. Something, so we're moving away from the paper ticketing or something, and that's we're a few cars that we're in the test phases of that, and that should also equate to more summonses being issued, a little bit more revenue. The efficiency is something, it's a little challenging, something in this landscape, something with costs keep going up. As I said earlier, anything in the defense or law enforcement, something realm, something obviously comes at high cost. I am frugal when it comes to buying stuff. I don't like service contracts, Adam, Councilman, something. So where I can, I like to buy things or something and go time and materials. It's a gamble sometimes, but the service contracts just put a bad taste in my mouth. So we have some systems that basically we just do that. Again, that's to the chagrin of the vendor. Something I think we're pretty good on equipment, and we have an IT person who is very, very efficient. He comes at a bargain price, and he's like kind of a MacGyver, and we do so many workarounds when it comes to the systems that we have, fingerprint systems, software systems. Yeah, the companies and vendors want you to add components and overbuild. I like to basically get by with the basic needs and still stay up in compliance with the requirements of the Attorney General guidelines and the needs of the town. Cars, something. I mean, we keep cars longer than we should. Something if the mileage is always a little bit higher, something. Ideally, I'd like to get. We probably can use 4 cars per year, or something based upon the number of cars. Something. So, the guys they complain about the condition of their cars. I basically tell them, something. Unfortunately, they got to deal with it. Something, and some of them are rough. Something. So, in instances like that, I don't really other examples. That's all I have right now. I mean, and again, anything that we're looking to do in the future, something again, we don't always go for the Cadillac. We look at what's reasonable.
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to like, and again, I want to talk about a new RMS system that we're getting ready to buy. It's something, and, well, I can segue into that right now. So,
What page is that?
well, that's part of a capital thing, but it might not need to be capital, and let me just touch on it. So right now, our CAD system, which is computer aided dispatch, also slash an RMS system, which is a records management system. That's basically our police, you know, computer system. So we've had that for quite some time. Our system is called Cody. Cody is out of Pennsylvania. At one point in time, the prosecutor's office had it, and a good portion, the vast portion of the police departments in the county had it. We are the last department to have it. So again, I'm stingy. We went out, we looked, we didn't see anything that was so much better, something that make us move. But we've gotten to the point where, now it's something called NIBRS. I don't want to confuse you with all these new acronyms, but the federal government makes us do reporting, a UCR, Uniform Crime Report. So basically, the federal government gets all their crime stats, trickles down to every local department. We have to provide stuff. Our Cody system doesn't provide that information well into the new systems that we require. Now, UCR is going to NIBRS. I don't know what the acronym is, but basically it's reporting our crimes. So for reasons like that, for compliance purposes, for reasons of there's better systems out there and better components, we've been shopping a new system. So what's a little bit different also now too is the fire department has had a system, a primitive system for their purposes. The ambulance corps has also too. So we sat down the other day with a new vendor, a vendor that is providing services to other departments, including forces. The county uses it, and a lot of other towns in the county use it. There's a component for the fire department to use, there's a component for the ambulance corps to use, and it can serve all three emergency services units. And where,
Do they need training on it too?
yeah, but that's nominal. But in the past, if you were gonna change your records management system, there's always like a couple $100,000 upfront cost to basically take your data and transfer to the new system. The reality of it is, it can never be done properly. It's always something that's lost. Other towns have basically just severed ties and said, you know something, we're just breaking off and we're just starting anew. So I got some prices, and right now we're paying about $22,000 a year to Cody. The transition cost, which would probably normally be over probably $200,000. I have a quote of $31,000 to actually go to a new system, which includes the fire department and the ambulance corps, which I think is great. And then that's the first year, and then it comes down a little bit for years 2 and 3. But it brings us with a new capabilities, an overnight parking management system, a vacant house, like vacation surveillance. People call and say my house is vacant, something that component. It's NIBRS compliant. So I'm looking to implement this CAD system that is very necessary at a very reasonable price. And the way that we think we're going to maintain our old records is that it's a legacy system of the old system. So we're basically going to strip it down and for hopefully a nominal cost, have the old system as a standalone to be able to go back and get records. But we're looking to go with a new system, but just to transfer to it from just an operational standpoint without the heavy upfront those transitional costs. So Adam, there's things like that I'm trying to accomplish to bring us up to today's standards and to do it at a reasonable cost.
No, it's very helpful. Thank you, Chief. And just, sorry, Julie, just.
Go ahead, Adam. Let Adam finish you.
Sorry. No, I appreciate it, Chief. And I think just two things. One is, this is something we should be doing 365 days a year, not during budget time. And I know you're doing that. So thank you for that. The other thing, just because you mentioned it earlier, as the mayor said, we had a joint use meeting. There were three conversations, two that we had. You know, obviously we spoke about how we're paying for the SRO, and we both have to share the burden. That would actually obviously help the municipal budget because we're going to get that 70% back. The second thing that we discussed was the SRO cars. As you mentioned, these are the older cars. That would just imply linearly that there's gonna be more maintenance on those cars. Right now, we, the municipality, are not getting any of that back from the schools. We mentioned that, and we have to talk about that. And then the third that I don't know if we broached, but we do have to talk about and think about, I think it's like $350,000 of your budget are school crossing guards, right? Is that, so about $350,000. School crossing guards, of which the municipality is burdened with that full cost, whereas 100% of the job for the school crossing guards is the school. Again, that takes away from your municipal budget of protecting us. So all three of those would help the budget, if I understand it correctly, right, Chief?
Oh, yeah, but I don't know of any Board of Education that actually cover those costs. I mean, you could definitely try that. When it comes to crossing guards also too, we did look at the option of privatizing it. That actually is something that is occurring now, and the companies will come in and train them and schedule them and test them and all that. It's more money. So again, I'm trying to do things on the cheaper but safely. So it's quite prohibitive to do that. But I mean, yes, if the school could absorb some of those crossing guards, that would be great. That's. Yeah.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So more responsibility.
We did do a survey of some towns. None of the, you're correct, none of the towns are back charging for the.
It costs more money to privatize it?
It does, because this is what it is, they keep your guards, at the same salary, they take on I mean, I guess through attrition, maybe they get new people that come in at a lower cost, and then the company has to obviously profit, so then there's a cost on top of that. I guess the benefit of the town is like, I mean, it's I don't say it's a full-time job. Managing that group of people is a lot. And just every day, the doctor's visits, the vacations, the equipment, the staffing, it's a lot of moving parts. But we manage it through, obviously our personnel right now. But it's like I kind of bridge with it. Bigger, maybe a little more money or something, and they have a lot more posts, and it was just very difficult to do that with I guess the staffing they had some. So but they did it successfully. But
Richmond privatized it.
Yeah, but it would cost the borough more money to do it.
Julie doesn't know.
Okay, so I can tell if you want to talk about the new CAD system.
Yes.
Okay. And you, just a quick question, you mentioned about it helps the overnight parking. How does it do that?
So instead of a ton of people calling us every night and having to actually talk to them, which is not a problem. A lot of the times I've been doing it, there's a system and they actually go through and they log in through the website and they can request, and obviously.
And you could say multiple nights.
Correct, I said, but we're also very conscientious of people that use it. We
Right.
have the ability to deny, because some people, and the overnight parking, something is something that the town didn't want for many, it probably went back to accountability days back in the day, but something that was probably when it was probably averaging 2 cars per house. Well, now there's 4 or 5 cars average per house with kids driving and trying to go to college, whatever. So there's a lot more cars, and some towns have gone by the wayside and decided not to have overnight parking anymore. Some towns, which we tried to pitch here, but didn't take, but is to not allow overnight parking from like October to March, where it's bad weather, and then from like April to September, you allow it because people traveling. There's more cars on the street, but people calling every night asking for permission. So this would allow them to do it electronically, and it's just more efficient.
So more efficiency, obviously jump in price. But you're saying not really, but what is
So the upfront would be a little bit more money the first year, but it comes down, but these components, there's a couple components that are. Yeah, so again, it's a newer system, it's gonna offer us more, it's gonna make us more compliant, so it's gonna be more than $22,000 we're paying in coding. I would say it's probably gonna be like 25 to 26 per year, but I think that's pretty reasonable with a new system.
And if you get this, you would actually dedicate time to bringing in the EMTs and the fire.
Oh, they're gonna be on it.
They're
They're gonna have their own bingo modules. There you go. Portal, modules, yeah.
And it'll help their efficiency as well.
Yeah, because now the ambulance corps comes after every call, they walk to the floor and they give them information, we type something, we print them out something, and then the fire department, they have, you know, their fire prevention, you know, some, a lot of information there also too, so it's gonna become a clearinghouse of information for all three.
Will eliminate for personnel, like, will it?
No, we're just gonna make it easier to just, you know.
I know the
Customer
time.
experience, it's a way better customer experience.
But
We have a cost.
What? Say, wait, no, go ahead, what?
No, do we have a cost for the fire or to that, for that? Is that all?
So actually,
No,
believe it or not,
no.
so I don't think that they don't pay anything now, I think they have like. The Board of Education IT department help them with their current systems or whatever, but that number I gave you is including those two departments. They're not gonna need it as much as we are, but there are things for their own.
But having it integrated, there's a benefit also.
Yes.
This sounds like a very good idea, so.
Chief, I have a question. Is any part of the CAD system maintenance fees? Or is that,
That's all inclusive.
okay, so I might have to take the maintenance fees out and put it in operating.
Now also too, so
We could break it
so I'm
down.
putting capital, I think money for this, right? What I realized is that, well, so Cody, we pay up front. So we paid, I think in like September, October, we paid Cody until October 31st of 2024.
Okay,
So the Cody cost that I would normally ask for, $22,000, I think can be used for this enforcement. Maybe I don't have it operational. With a couple extra dollars and not go cap.
well, you could do the software system in capital and then the maintenance costs in operating.
Correct.
That's what I just did with the building.
Okay,
But can you get that code money back? If you turn it.
Last year I did the software, and you had 63,000 for building.
You know.
So it's-
I don't know. You know, I'm upset because you said, "Oh, we're meeting."
See you later. Right.
And then they like,
All right, one at a time, one at a time. All right, who's got the next question? Next question for the chief, go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
It's a popular question in the house. Can you make more money in tickets?
Probably not. Yeah, listen, have I taken some steps to actually increase our motor vehicle enforcement? Yes, and you will see some. But the one thing that and can I force traffic details, which I am now, and we are now that our staffing's coming back? Yeah, so you'll see some. But one thing I cannot do is I cannot put a quote. That is. So can I put my office in more positions to make some, write summonses? Yes. But I can't say I need X.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yes.
The field is putting incessantly like you turn them.
We are, well, I tell you what, we've been.
Can you light them up for that for $200 and call it there?
Send a person there.
We've been cracking down or something, so, yeah, but believe it or not, that you turn a 3-point moving violation.
But anyway, you can align for me when you turn and leads on it. If I come down on this video casino with the whole speed, if I take the left, if I come down and I take the left into that parking lot and I can't turn out, is that illegal?
In what parking?
There's a parking lot across from the post office.
Okay, yes.
It's illegal?
Is that illegal? That's what I
On
want to know.
Tenafly Road?
No, Washington Avenue.
Of course it's illegal. It's illegal. There's no U-turn signs up.
No, I'm going to
Well,
the
no,
parking lot
you
and then
are.
you're pulling out.
Like a ride. You're not pulling all the way.
So hold on.
Okay, hold on, guys. We're getting a little off track of budgetary questions here.
Yeah, I didn't consider a U-turn.
Yeah.
And the former judge, so on West Road Avenue, they no parking, they put the Mel's Book block, people pulling their back out until the former judge would find that U-turn.
So, yeah, so I come out this way, go that way. Okay, so that goes back to the question about budget, but can you put something on a short-term revenue generator? Because I think people are super upset about it. So
Yes.
nobody can justify with the plan I got ticketed for doing, it, right?
Well,
We can make some money.
we asked the road department to raise the U-turn signs up, they got lowered when you put the Christmas decorations, so they always put them up, we raised them up, we put the barricade in the middle street, U-turn sign on, so people are stopping a lot of cars.
So another place where you can still probably get CVS. parking lot behind CVS.
Yes,
People are parking there, really tired.
yeah, we enforce that, we do write summonses there.
I watch it all the time.
You know, something like.
We don't have to pay.
You-
We learned that earlier.
Why not?
The parking lot is judged, it's right.
There's a moratorium on collections
Right.
from the judiciary and the state legislature. But that's a whole nother. All right, next budget question for the chief. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, so on page 32, you have, it's nice to, description, that would be over here, this one.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
the capital.
I just wanted to ask, if I've actually had a very positive experience with the radar speed sign by Stillman School. Am I right? That's the one, the big, kind of the boxy one that you put there mobily?
Yes.
And are these two additional ones because so many neighborhoods in town want them? Or are
Yes.
they
So,
replacement?
so to Councilman Connor's, question and the mayor's question earlier on.
Speed
about
bumps.
Speed bumps. So speed bumps. So one thing, yeah, I'm gonna get to you, I apologize.
No worries.
So speed bumps are effective right with their position. We've got word against something, but the cars just speed right after, something but I'm not poo-pooing. Now, the town has to be prepared. When you put them in, the rest of you coming out and saying, well, why don't you put them in line for something? So, but, you could manage that. What I'd like to do is in some of these locations where we think they're warranted, before we get to like, it's drastic and the road department doesn't want them. We can get around that, and the fire department doesn't want them also do for their truck out, going over this and that. I'd like to buy more of these, your speed is signs and put them there first. And I talked about it before. Even myself as a police officer, if I get stopped by another police officer, probably me getting someone's probably not high, but when I'm driving and I go by one of those signs, it's like that stage light is on.
Makes you
And
slow.
it does compel you something to slow down, something you just, and I think they're effective, so.
And they're mobile.
I know,
They go
yeah.
different-
We have
It's like,
those,
oh, I'm going to see.
So the ones, the one on, excuse me, the one on Woodland Street.
Yeah.
There's two on Woodland Street, those are permanent with and they're solar powered, assisted.
Oh,
So there's ones in Bergenfield, the newer ones, it's like, slow down, it's your speed, a flashing light and slow down, and if you're going to speed, it says thank you in green and it slow down in red. I think they're very effective. I don't think they cost that much. I'd like to actually buy several of them and put them.
and those are not mobile. Those are.
Are they in the budget?
So here's the thing, where did Susan go?
Susan, how to go?
Yes.
So let me ask you folks, so. When Max Bash was in the council, I believe that you folks, through his request, had put in for $12,000 in flashing pedestrian signs. We never used. This is very similar to that. I know that sometimes.
What do you mean it was never used? You have it, it's sitting out there in a capital account?
It's still there?
I didn't use.
Okay, so David, okay, so hold, time out a second. David will check that out.
I know you can use things in capital for similar things that have a nexus to what.
Yeah, yeah.
This was in a capital account that doesn't have an expense.
I believe so.
Okay.
I would like to, if possible, maybe use that to buy some more of these signs, because this obviously, yeah,
Well,
it's speed,
well-
but there's a pedestrian safety component to it.
Right, right. If that was in the capital, because the council already approved it, once David confirms it's there, you've already gotten your approval to use that money. For that.
Well, you thought to approve its use because it was for speed.
Well, yeah, it goes into a resolution, right, of course.
Yeah.
So what about the question of these ones that you're interested, you wanna buy a few of them, several of them? If you fund them new, if you fund them from the old, were those the ones that were on wheels or those were the?
So we have a message board, it's a trailer that we use that has that ability, but that also has message signs, and so that has a. But the one you're referring to is a box that we charge and we put on a sign and we move it around, we get speaker plate, we put that out there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I could look at another one of those, but we have places that are habitual.
Yeah, well-
Well, I'm not saying it's habitual speeding, but we get a lot of complaints in those areas.
And you're saying you can make these sedentary ones stay there?
Station,
Yeah, station.
Tenafly Road in front of Stillman School, something we get a lot of complaints there. Probably, Dean Drive, something, a lot of problems there. East Clinton Avenue coming down the hill, something, we have a problem with that. You don't even going up or something. So I think there's some locations that they would really they're warranted, and I think they'll be very effective.
Can you change what they say, because the Jamie's point, 25 miles an hour, I don't drive 25 miles.
Right,
So at 32 and you're on there going too fast.
Right.
Gotcha.
right.
Can you put something on there that says that's $100 ticket?
Yeah.
I
Show
know.
me can you change the messaging on it to be more of a deterrent.
Well,
If a cop saw you
What are you gonna
do
buy?
that,
No, I don't.
it's just too fast.
I think the software doesn't provide that.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't think that would even be DOT, compliant. Not probably.
Some of these cheap though, if you go a certain speed, they'll have red and blue lights.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's
So-
cool.
Someone
Yeah,
else
like,
has that.
feel like a police.
Someone-
Yeah,
What it says is there's a threat of this.
It's a never going from Brookside Road from Prescott down.
I like these multiple colors you just mentioned.
Yeah.
That's very noticeable. Like it'll say.
Should I?
You're not gonna go down to 25, but it gets you close.
It's because, but it's still.
If we're slowing people down, that's
the goal.
does that, well, you would look at the speed bump.
Speed bumps.
Does that,
We're gonna try this, but.
No, we'll try this. Look, I happen to be, I drive through Englewood all the time through the back streets with the speed bumps. I'm forced to slow down. I mean, it's just, people hate them, but it's the only thing.
Agreed.
If we put speed bumps on the west side of East Clinton, you wouldn't have speeders there. You
I'm
couldn't.
sorry, and I wanted to put the signs on.
Oh, right. I'm
right.
sorry.
You try the signs are a cheaper thing, and it's up in.
We'll try the signs.
You said that, but I wanna put one on Tenafly Road in front of Stone School.
That's perfect. Yeah, of course.
Knickerbocker's a county road.
Cannot do it on.
You gotta get the county's approval.
Okay, I just-
And at 35 miles an hour, and I honestly, you probably see speed.
A little narrow.
If we're seeing speeds at 5 miles an hour, we're not, it's not.
But you're not going, okay.
We're looking at the.
But still in
15,
Tenafly
20,
Road,
25
Yeah.
miles an hour.
oh, for sure.
East Clinton Avenue.
Can you license plate shot somebody at 52 on a 25? So if you get a sign up there, so you're going too fast, you clearly could hit me with radar. If I'm going 67 miles an hour on Woodward, and you flash a license
That
plate
camera
for each
should
on
not
that,
catch that.
correct?
No, we don't have those capabilities.
Does it give you feedback?
All right, do we have, can I ask you, let me interrupt for a second. More budget questions for the chief because we're running out of time. Any more budget questions? Go ahead.
Chief, on the overtime, 330,000 is, now that you're gonna be back up to full complement of staffing, is that line gonna be able to get reduced or controlled?
As I said early on, or something, I believe so, staffing, yes. The X factor is, some of these big events that we have to staff up, where, Jewish community something and to guard against some big protests. But Tenafly's been doing a pretty good job of staying out of that or something, so.
Well, because I know it's up 105,000 from last year's budgeted number, but it's actually appropriating what's been spent.
So, yeah, I believe you can drop that.
What are you comfortable with?
275.
Can the communities like raise fees privately? So like if, let's just say the Jewish community is doing something, can they contribute to the overtime? Right.
For the high holy day, things of such, they do hire officers and they pay the outside
I'm just
duties.
talking about the downtown stuff, like when there was the Shabbat table or, I think that's probably.
No, that's a general community that everyone's invited to.
Well, and that's also,
Event.
that's on town soil.
Right,
That's our
that's a
domain.
different thing. Any other questions for the chief? Or chief, any other comments?
Yes, I do.
Adam's still
So-
with us, right?
Yes, sir. Okay, that's right.
I'm here.
The wrong message about the same time.
Sue's not here. You're gonna ask her about pedestrian signs. I mean, right, yeah.
Yeah, I have that written.
Separate event.
The OEM stipend, so there was a request to possibly increase that, and I think Susan provided two printouts. One was the existing and one was.
All right,
the,
chief's got the floor. Go ahead.
So the stipends for Captain DeMcCall and Lieutenant Greeley, the emergency management coordinator and the deputy, and the stipend. And the coordinator was 3,400 and the deputy was 1,200, with request to increase it. I'm not sure if all of you know, but two of them did a really outstanding job over the last couple of years, especially with the hurricane and all the information that the data that had to be collected and the meetings. And they spent an exorbitant amount of time on that. And, unfortunately, I anticipate probably future acts, something where they're going to have to be heavily involved. And the amount of time, something that they put into that, and away from the regular duties, I think warrants an increase to their stipends. I'm not, you have the two copies?
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about stipends globally on Tuesday night.
Oh,
This one, I believe, is wanted.
yeah.
This is super justified. I dealt with FEMA.
Okay, that's fine, then I'll, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have a whole grand conversation Tuesday night, Chief.
Yeah, it's on the master
Yeah.
sheet of stipends.
But it was,
Next day.
it was bringing the 3,400, going into 5,000, bringing the 1,200 to 3,000.
It's on the last paragraph of this summary.
So very justified. I dealt with FEMA in my day job.
Oh,
The
that's
amount
tough.
of reporting
That's
and
tough.
the amount of specific paperwork and numbers coming, but this is more than one thing. I foresee us having more of these FEMA related events, so I think it's justified.
Sure, the matter. So just traffic signals. So I know in town, we went with Brightview Engineering about a couple of things, and I know you're moving toward that. I like what I hear from them, and I like what they're gonna be proposing you. So the town is already in the process of getting ready to upgrade traffic lights, and you're gonna be spending a lot of money. I just, and that's great, and that probably is wanted sufficient for now, but just to bring to your attention, the traffic lights throughout town on Knickerbocker Road, they're ancient. And they're effective, but they're gonna be in need of replacement. And you know, our vendor right now is General Electric. They're our traffic signal maintenance vendor. Of course, they're always doing these inspections and recommending upgrades and replacement. Again, as I told you, I'm sure it will come, like, just fix it for now, you know, something, and we've been floating it. But what you're doing, I think, is wonderful downtown, but eventually you're gonna have to get to those because they're old.
So to your point, Chief, and you gave us this idea, if you remember 100 years ago, when we take down some of the lights downtown because we're doing, you know, some of the changes, you had the great idea of reusing those lights in places that are falling apart elsewhere.
Use the word harvesting, and I'm all in favor of that. I think an engineering company is gonna probably tell you,
Don't do that.
don't do that, but you know something, you guys, you know, are the bosses of your turf. So if you can, you know something, again, I think everyone at this table, including myself, we look to make a savings. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is really not my budget, but sometimes it gets confused, but the Tenafly Nature Center cameras. So I believe, so to the end of the year, put the cameras in the senior center, put the cameras in David Johnson Park, put the cameras teen center, and I think I funded part of that. It's something that they're great, and they're serving a great need. The last, or when it wasn't covered, was the Tenafly Nature Center. We wanted to do that. There was some money. I don't know if it was out of a capital account, but it was about like roughly like $5,000 left over. I think their full project was like $9,000 or $10,000. Of course, I didn't proceed with that because there wasn't any funding. Is that $5,000 still available? But basically, if not, what they want, and again, and have they spoken to you yet?
Yes, yeah.
So it's warranted. We do get people going there at nighttime. You know, so we do leave the animals over there. I want to say it was like around $10,000 or $11,000 full. So just to bring it to your attention.
I think we definitely need to do it. I think it is such a dangerous situation when we have workers leaving after dark and there is just nothing. And they've had instances of, you know.
We've had burglaries and people come to the nature.
Yeah, one recently, about one here. Yeah,
They,
yeah.
no, they come, that's how they come into the town, they go through the.
So then does
nature
that
center,
mean,
park on
do
it,
you,
that's
I'm not in front of their budget right now, but, is that something that, I think that was always one of the questions is they weren't budgeting for it.
We are.
So,
We are.
yeah, I mean,
So
yeah.
is it on your?
If it is,
So
hopefully you're adding it onto my operational, you're not reducing it. I mean,
No,
it's not my department.
yeah, we're consolidating the camera purchase because it's your vendor, yours.
Yes.
We're consolidating.
Yes.
All those outside departments, yours.
Okay,
But
yeah, we'll incorporate that.
Yeah.
So with the cameras, and so the cameras on all these borough properties, they go back to other town, and something, we have the ability, something to look at them, yes, something we very rarely do, but we have that ability. The senior center, we put cameras in. That is cameras that go to a CPU. There's no internet in the senior center, I'm not sure if you're aware of that. So we have no ability to get them in the headquarters. When we want to go to those cameras, we actually have to go to their CPU. So they get their internet through fiber. They get their internet through the borough fiber. But they don't have.
Why is there no internet?
No, I say.
How could that be?
Sorry. But am I right? Well, no, they're getting internet. I apologize. Let me back up. They're getting their internet through the fiber through the Board of Education. We can't get the cameras because the camera software can't be used on the Board of Education's fiber system.
So why don't we just get Verizon in for $125 a
Well,
month?
there's a monthly cost for that.
Yeah, but.
I don't want to spend I can't spend other.
Okay, so David, we have to have that conversation with Michelle.
But it wouldn't be a lot.
Right.
So then we need to confirm that the cameras for the nature center are added to your operating budget.
Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're talking about?
All cameras.
Because all cameras are going to him.
Well,
And if this.
confirm that with Susan.
Right, he's
we
gonna
need
check and
to
see what's going on.
Confirm that was, because what happened a year ago this time is, we didn't have enough money in it. We were busy doing all the other cameras, but
Yeah.
now at this point, this
If, right, if it's a borough camera that feeds back to
is
you,
you.
we will consolidate that into your line items.
Okay.
If it's a standalone camera where it records to a computer in that location, that's not going to your operating.
And so right now,
Maintenance
the senior center has cameras already installed there.
Yeah.
And it's recording to its own computer, not yours.
But you want it to go to your system.
You want.
Again?
You want it to.
want-
Well, I mean, we have every other borough, something, and it
Of
should
course, it
save
should
it
be.
or something. Yeah, and it have to be something, something, so for things that happen after hours, something, something, we should have the ability to look at our borough properties.
Like David Johnson is reported.
The school, we have access to all the school cameras, but by law, we can't look inside the school.
Yeah.
We have all the exterior cameras,
Okay.
but we need an emergency to turn the cameras on inside, which is ridiculous. But we're compliant. I mean, we are the most compliant department there is. I
Try yourself.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it's frustrating because
Yeah.
it's counterproductive, but we follow the rules.
All right, any more questions for the chief? Thank you, chief.
Thank you, Chief, for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for your.
All right, have a.
Any more comments from council members before we adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. Got a second? All in favor?
Hi.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, everybody.